Chapter 1259. Chapter 1259. Chapter 1259 Provoked to Anger, Senior Spirit Void. Danguzi, I'll leave those 2 rank 9 mid-mortal sovereigns to you. Ignoring the corpse puppet's cold words, Ningyu began assigning tasks. Sword of Evil, Palace Master Centauria, I'll leave the remaining 8th and 7th grade human sovereigns to you. With a cold gaze, Ningyu stared at the 26th grade sovereigns and said, "Leave these trash to me." "What? How dare you call me trash? A mere middle phase, 5th grade sovereign dares to be so arrogant? Looks like I'll have to teach you guys a lesson. Attack! Everyone attack together. Kill him." Ningyu's unbridled words had infuriated many 6th grade sovereigns. They were all top geniuses in the corpse sect, so when had they ever been bullied like this? Under their rage, all the 6th grade sovereigns summoned their magical treasures and flying swords, eager to kill Ningyu. Not bad, not bad. You have character. While everyone was getting restless, the corpse puppet did not make a move. Instead, it looked at Ningyu with interest and said, "It would be a pity to kill someone like you. Let's refine you into a corpse puppet." Xiao. As she spoke, Shi Xiao held the serious sword in her hand and dashed forward. Shi Xiao did not forget his purpose of coming here, which was to kill Ningyu. As long as he could kill Ningyu, everything would be fine. The higher-ups of the corpse sect would even reward him with the heavenly wolf sword. If they failed, what awaited them would be endless fury. Therefore, Shi Xiao did not hold back with this move. She used all of her strength. His essence chi poured into the celestial wolf sword, and immediately the celestial wolf sword shone brightly, becoming several times larger. Kill him! Holding the celestial wolf sword, the corpse puppet slashed out a sword light in the air. Roar! A huge wolf head appeared on the celestial wolf sword, roaring as it charged at Ningyu. Not good. It's the phantom of the sky wolf. Seeing the giant wolf head charging at Ningyu, Venerable Spirit Void and Pelguzi's expressions changed, and they wanted to go help. Damned old man, your opponents are us. Before revered Spirit Void and Danguzi could help, they were stopped by 2 rank 9 mid-human sovereigns. At first, Lord Spirit Void and Pelguzi had wanted to fight with all their might to force back the rank 9 mid-human sovereign. As soon as they made their move, the other 4 early-stage 9th grade human supremes joined the battle, forcing them to retreat again and again. Although Venerable Spirit Void was a mid-rank 9 mortal sovereign, Danguzi was only an early rank 9 mortal sovereign. His power was limited. If they joined forces, they could confront 2 middle phase 9th grade sovereigns. But with the addition of 4 initial phase 9th grade sovereigns, the pressure on Venerable Spirit Su and the rest increased, and they nearly lost their heads a few times. Red Demon Sword. Destroy all forms. Open. Seeing that the wolf head was about to reach him, Ningyu hastily took out the red demon sword and slashed at the wolf head. Haha, you want to use an ordinary flying sword to cut my sky wolf phantom? You're simply fucking hell. The corner of Shi Xiao's mouth rose into a faint smile, as if she could already see Ningyu dying to the sky wolf phantom. However, Shi Xiao's words hadn't finished resounding through the air when she stopped abruptly. Crack! Shi Xiao noticed that the red flying sword in Ningyu's hand had pierced straight into the head of the sky wolf phantom. In the next instant, the phantom's head split apart. Pucci! The terrifying backlash sent the corpse puppet flying several meters away. Her heart sank to the bottom of the valley. What flying sword is this? It's so powerful. Shi Xiao stood up with great difficulty, her face filled with rage. Ningyu, you've completely angered me. No one in the world can save you. How noisy! With a smear of disdain, Ningyu flicked his storage ring, and a cold light shot out from it. Swish! Swish! The cold light was swift, and in the blink of an eye, it had arrived before Shi Xiao. Crack! The cold light clenched her right fist and smashed into Shi Zhao's chest. A crisp sound rang out. At least 3 of Shi Zhao's ribs were broken, and she spurted out a mouthful of blood. What the hell is this? How can it be so powerful? Shi Zhao hurriedly used a secret technique to reconnect the ribs on her chest. In Shi Zhao's view, the reason why Ningyu could break the Sky Wolf Phantom was purely due to luck, and there was nothing to be afraid of. The only thing that shocked Shi Zhao was the figure that appeared afterwards. Jin 2. At this critical moment, Ningyu took out Jin 2 without holding back. Shi Zhao was a late-phase 9th grade sovereign, and on Ningyu's side, only Jin 2 could be his opponent. Ningyu understood the principle of capturing the leader first, so he decided to join forces with Jin 2 to capture Shi Zhao. Ah! The roars coming from the mouth of the corpse puppet were extremely sinister. Ningyu, I'm going to tear you to pieces today. After roaring, Shi Zhao charged at Ningyu with the Sky Wolf sword in her hand. Let's attack too. Seeing Shi Zhao attack, the rest of the cultivators all moved out. For a moment, the area was filled with golden light, and all kinds of spells were cast. Standing in the center of the battlefield, especially facing the most powerful corpse puppet of the Corpsine sect, Ningyu felt the pressure. If it wasn't for Jin 2's help, Ningyu would have already been killed by Shi Zhao. We can't continue like this, Ningyu said in a deep voice while relying on Jin 2 to fight Shi Zhao. Although Shi Zhao's physical strength was not as good as Jin 2's, her spells and martial skills far surpassed Jin 2's. According to Ningyu's guess, Shi Zhao's real battle strength was far higher than the evil Dragon Valley Masters. I can't fight her head-on for now. Ningyu's expression was extremely solemn. An expert at Shi Zhao's level with the top-grade Emperor Skywolf sword was enough to reach the pinnacle of battle strength. Fighting Shi Zhao was no different from asking a tiger for a tide. There was bound to be no good result. I'll break your wings first. Ningyu rolled his eyes and temporarily left Shi Zhao to Jin Tuesday. As for himself, he joined the other side of the battlefield. 10,000 ghosts, holy flag! Ning, you didn't want to waste even the slightest bit of time. Before he even reached Supremacy's Spirit Void and Danguzi, he took out the 10,000 ghosts holy flag and smashed it towards an early rank 9 human sovereign. Insignificant skill. It was obvious that this early 9th grade human supreme didn't take Ningyu seriously. Curling his lips in disdain, this late-stage 9th grade human supreme abandoned Sage, Spirit, Su, and Danguzi to attack Ningyu. There's a path to heaven, but you refuse to take it. There's no door to hell, but you barge in. Looking at the incoming early-stage 9th grade human supreme, the corner of Ningyu's mouth rose. He raised his palm and smashed it forward. Crack! An extremely clear, muffled sound resounded in the area. Ningyu rubbed his slightly swollen fist and said angrily, "What a cheap wretch! How can it be so hard?" Uft! Being mocked by Ningyu in front of so many people, the early-stage 9th grade human supreme couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. You even broke a few of my ribs, and you say my bones are hard? The early-stage 9th grade human supreme was furious. He wasn't as tough as Shi Zhao, who could use a secret technique to reconnect his broken ribs. Chapter 1260. Retreat. Ningyu, you've completely infuriated me. I'm going to chop you into pieces. The early-stage 9th grade human supreme was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He, an early-stage 9th grade human supreme, had actually lost to a mid-stage 5th grade human supreme, and it was a crushing defeat at that. Where would he put his face if word of this got out? Therefore, in the heart of this initial 9th grade human supreme being, he was determined to kill Ningyu even if he had to pay the price of blood. Noisy! Ningyu wouldn't show any mercy. If you want to kill me, then you should be prepared to be killed. Recalling the myriad ghosts flag, Ningyu injected the Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness into it and threw it out again. Roar! Wherever the myriad ghosts flag passed, the sky changed color and the wind and clouds gathered. All sorts of screams came from the myriad ghosts flag. What the hell is that? Hearing these voices, the 9th grade initial human supreme felt his hair stand on end, and he shuddered in fear. It's not a ghost. It's something that will take your life. Ningyu's words were like the god of death, ringing in the early stage 9th grade human supreme's ears. Oh no! Suddenly, the eyes of the 9th grade initial human sovereign shrank. He stomped on the ground and retreated rapidly. However, it was already too late for this initial phase 9th grade human supreme being to retreat. Whoosh! A cold light shot out from the myriad ghosts flag and penetrated the early stage 9th grade human supreme's mind. Rumble! Not long after, the early stage 9th grade human supreme's body swelled up and exploded. Swish! The self-destruction of the early stage 9th grade human supreme silenced the entire area. Both sides looked at Ningyu in the middle of the battlefield and the scattered flesh fragments in front of him. Their eyes almost fell out of their sockets, especially the cultivators of the Corpse Een sect. Their pupils shrank and their hair stood on end. What kind of monster was Ningyu? How could he get rid of an early stage 9th grade human supreme so quickly? On the surface, Ningyu didn't seem to have used his full strength. Ningyu, good job. The Dark Emperor patted Ningyu's shoulder and said loudly. The Dark Emperor had advanced to the early stage 4th grade supreme martial artist. On top of that, he was one of the 5 absolute geniuses and possessed the bloodline of the purple gold sky devouring dog. Just now, he had held up a 9th grade initial stage human sovereign. Although he didn't manage to kill him, everyone knew that it was only a matter of time before that 9th grade initial stage human sovereign was killed. This is too much. On the Corpse Een sect side, a 9th grade intermediate human supreme said coldly. This 9th grade intermediate human supreme was called Shurgang, the second strongest expert of the Corpse Een sect. If it hadn't been for Ningyu's interference, Corpse Gang would have long since killed Dan Guzi and Spirit Void. After Ningyu's interference, he had lost the best chance to kill Venerable Lingshu. If you want to fight, let's fight. What's the use of arguing? Ningyu's eyes were like torches as he slowly swept his gaze over the Corpse Een sect's experts. Due to Ningyu's terrifying battle prowess, many of the Corpse Een sect's experts lowered their heads when he stared at them. But soon, all the Corpse Een sect's experts shifted their gazes to Sher Shao, wanting to listen to his opinion. Whether to fight or leave, it was all up to Sher Shao. Ningyu, you're very strong, far stronger than I imagined. Being stared at by so many people, Sher Shao took a step forward and said coldly, "But if you think you can repel us like this, then I have to say that you're too naive. The reason why we dared to encircle you here is because we're fully prepared." Then the corpse puppet took out a storage bag from her bosom and threw it on the ground. Rumble. The storage bag shattered, and a huge object appeared in everyone's sight. Good, good, good. I didn't expect Elder Sher Shao to bring this beast puppet out. With this beast puppet, how can Ningyu and the others not die? We don't need to do anything. We can leave everything to the beast puppet. With the appearance of the huge beast puppet, the Corpse Een sect side cheered and became very lively. As for Ningyu's side, his face was full of worry and worry. This beast puppet was too powerful, so powerful that no one had any thoughts of resisting it. Peak late stage, 9th grade sovereign. The beast puppet's aura had reached the peak late stage, 9th grade sovereign realm, even stronger than Sher Shao. One Sher Shao was enough to give Ningyu a headache not to mention another one that was even more powerful than Sure Shao. Senior Spirit Su, I'll stall Sure Shao and the beast puppet. You lead everyone through the Transverse Canyon. Ning Yu's expression was solemn as he sent a soul message to Sage Spirit Su. What about you? Sage Spirit Su hurriedly asked. He was very worried about leaving Ning Yu alone. Don't worry, we'll meet in the capital of the Thousand-Leaf Empire. Smiling at Sage Spirit Su, Ning Yu suddenly threw out the myriad ghost sacred flag and roared, Old Sure Shao, if you have the ability, then let's fight 300 rounds. After taking out the myriad ghost sacred flag, Ning Yu's body slowly rose into the air like a god of war. Ning Yu's actions, combined with the dangerous terrain of the Transverse Canyon, truly gave off the feeling that one man could hold the pass against 10,000 enemies. Let's go. Sage Spirit Su knew that he would only be cannon fodder if he stayed, so he grabbed Venerate Talisman Marshal and Yun Mu and disappeared. Behind Venerable Spirit Void, Pilgoozy also grabbed Lu Swan and chased after him. Not good, they want to leave. The corpse insects experts weren't fools. The moment they saw Sage Spirit Su escape, they reacted and took out their magic treasures to attack the exit of the Transverse Canyon. However, Ning Yu had been waiting for this moment. He repeatedly waved the red devil sword, blocking many fatal attacks for Sage Spirit Su and the others. With Ning Yu blocking them, Sage Spirit Su and the others quickly disappeared from everyone's sight. Woof woof. What surprised Ning Yu was that the Dark Emperor didn't escape with Sage Spirit Su and the others. Instead, he sneaked back. Crack! The Dark Emperor sneakily took advantage of a corpse sex mid-rank 9 human sovereign not paying attention to bite him. His sharp teeth bit into the middle rank 9 human sovereign shoulder and directly bit off a large chunk of flesh. Pa, pa, pa! As soon as he bit off the flesh, the Dark Emperor spat it out. What kind of nonsense is this? Don't the people of the corpse sect bathe? It's as uncomfortable as eating shit. The Dark Emperor rolled his eyes and looked at the middle rank 9 human sovereign with disdain. His expression was as annoying as it could get. The middle rank 9 human sovereign who had his flesh bitten off by the Dark Emperor let out a hysterical roar. Shameful. This was truly shameful. It was one thing for the flesh on his shoulder to be bitten off, but that damn dog actually dared to insult him in front of so many people. He really couldn't bear it. There was no need to bear it anymore. Chapter 1261. Chapter 1261. Chapter 1260. Mobilize the power of the bloodline, Dark Emperor. Let us fight to our heart's content today. Looking at the incoming 9th grade middle human sovereign, Ning Yu placed the red demon's sword before his chest as a deafening roar resounded throughout the canyon. Fight to your heart's content? I'm going to chop you into minced meat and feed you to the dogs. Corpse Biao was so angry that his teeth chattered. This was intolerable. No matter what, he was going to capture Ning Yu, cut him into pieces, and feed him to the dogs. Elder Corpse Puppet, I'll have to trouble you to suppress Jean and leave these 2 bastards to me. Corpse Biao didn't let his hatred get to his head. He first spoke to the Corpse Puppet before charging at Ning Yu. In Corpse Tiger's heart, Jean too was the strongest among Ning Yu's subordinates. Apart from Jean too, Ning Yu's fighting strength was also insignificant. Now that he had lost the Jean ban, killing Ning Yu would be as easy as blowing off dust. Go! Stop Jean, and Sure Shao controlled the puppet to fight Jean Tuesday. As for Sure Shao, she crossed her arms in front of her chest and watched the battle between Ning Yu and Corpse Biao with interest. She did not take any action. After summoning the fierce beast puppet, the corpse puppet was confident and no longer worried that Ning Yu would escape. The reason why Sure Shao didn't attack immediately was that he wanted to test out Ning Yu's strongest combat power and see if Ningyu was suitable to be refined into a puppet. Once he found out Ningyu's true battle prowess, he would kill him with lightning speed. You go too. To be on the safe side, Shi Xiao said to Shi Gang. Don't hurt Ningyu. Also, try to force Ningyu to use all his trump cards. Understood. In fact, Shi Gang had long since wanted to make a move, but he couldn't because Shi Xiao hadn't said anything. How could he not be excited now that the corpse puppet had clearly indicated for him to take action? With both feet touching the ground, Shi Gang dashed out in an instant. Rumble. In mid-air, Ningyu and the Dark Emperor were able to fight evenly against the corpse tiger if they joined forces. However, everything changed when Shi Gang joined the battle. Ningyu and the Dark Emperor were completely suppressed. Although Ningyu was charging left and right with the red demon sword in his hand and was even constantly using the 10,000 spirits sacred flag, anyone with a discerning eye could tell that it was only a matter of time before Ningyu and the Dark Emperor were defeated. Damn dog, I'm going to stew you whole later. Corpse Tiger's main target was the Dark Emperor. Although the wound on his shoulder had already been healed by his powerful blood chi, it would definitely leave a scar. Corpse Fiend would never forget this grudge. Only by eating the Dark Emperor could he resolve the hatred in his heart. Stinking reptile, I'm going to bite your other shoulder off. The Dark Emperor touched his sore spot, causing Corpse Biao to stomp his feet in anger. On the other side of the battlefield, Ningyu was completely suppressed by Corpse Gang. He was so suppressed that he could barely breathe. This won't do. I can only make my move in another 10 minutes. Ningyu appeared to be very weak and could be killed by Corpse Gang at any time. Something doesn't seem right. Corpse Puppet was a little puzzled by Ningyu's state. How powerful was Corpse Puppet's perception? He discovered that Ningyu was on the verge of being killed a few times, but in the end he would explode with astonishing battle strength and avoid a fatal blow. It was obvious that Ningyu's true battle strength was completely different from what he was currently displaying. Not good. Another 5 minutes passed before Corpse Puppet finally reacted. Corpse Gang, Corpse Biao, retreat quickly. Corpse Puppet roared. Corpse Puppet's roar caused Corpse Gang and Corpse Biao to be very puzzled. They were fighting well and had the upper hand. Why was Corpse Puppet telling them to retreat? However, Shi Gang and Corpse Biao's momentary daze made them pay a bloody price. Have you noticed? Since you've noticed, then all of you must die today. The corners of Ningyu's lips curled up as his aura suddenly strengthened. In the air, Ningyu opened his mouth, and all the surrounding Yuan Qi flew towards him, entering his stomach. At the same time, Ningyu's body glowed with golden light, hovering in the air like a golden god of war. Whoosh! A pair of wings grew on the Dark Emperor's back, enlarging his body by several times. Carrying Ningyu, he charged at Corpse Biao. Crack! Wherever Ningyu and the Dark Emperor passed, the wind and clouds changed colors and the air retreated. The punch landed squarely on Corpse Biao's heart. The terrifying force from the heart caused Corpse Biao's pupils to constrict. His entire body was sent flying, crashing into the stone walls on both sides of the ravine. Uft! Corpse Biao clutched at his heart, panting heavily. Heaven-defying indeed. Ningyu revealed an astonished expression when he saw Corpse Biao's actions. Corpse Biao's heart had been pierced by him, but he had not been killed immediately. This had exceeded his expectations. One had to know that Corpse Biao's heart was not on the right side, but on the left. Why you, so ruthless? Corpse Biao pointed at Ningyu with his right hand and roared with the last bit of his strength. I should have... With his heart shattered, Corpse Biao vomited a mouthful of blood before he could finish his words and collapsed to the ground. At this moment, a mid-stage 9th grade human supreme, Corpse Biao, had died in battle. Rumble. Corpse Biao's death caused a huge uproar in the area. Many Corpse Een sect cultivators retreated, not daring to approach Ningyu. Corpse Biao was a mid-stage 9th grade human supreme, the third strongest expert on their side. Even Corpse Biao had been easily killed, let alone them. Divine war body. Corpse Biao's expression was extremely ugly. He had not expected that Ningyu, whom he had regarded as a dead man, would actually possess the divine war body. Moreover, from the golden light emitting from Ningyu's body, Corpse Biao deduced that Ningyu possessed the complete bloodline of the divine war body. Ningyu, since you have the divine war body, why did you only reveal it now? Corpse Biao's expression was gloomy as he said, coldly. Corpse Biao could clearly see a ball of golden blood flowing continuously from Ningyu's heart to every corner of his body. The divine war body was indeed terrifying. Although Corpse Biao was a late-stage 9th grade human supreme and had ferocious beast puppets by his side, he still felt great pressure when facing the complete bloodline of the divine war body. I know. Corpse Biao seemed to be talking to himself. You're stalling for time because you've just awakened the divine war body bloodline and cannot properly mobilize the power of the bloodline in your body. Suddenly, Corpse Biao came to a realization. At the same time, Corpse Biao was extremely vexed. If not for his stupidity, Corpse Biao would not have been killed and the others would not have escaped. That's right, I'm indeed stalling for time. Ningyu stared straight at Corpse Biao and said in a low voice, If you had attacked me earlier, I would definitely have lost. But unfortunately, because of your stupidity, I am able to mobilize the power of the bloodline to fight well. Ha ha ha. Corpse Biao threw his head back and laughed maniacally. Don't think that I don't know that with your mid-stage, 5th grade human supreme cultivation, you can only mobilize the power of the bloodline in your body for half an hour at most. In other words, you will be extremely weak after half an hour. Half an hour is more than enough to kill all of you. Ningyu's gaze swept across everyone before he shot out explosively. Chapter 1262. 3 regions, how dare you? Seeing Ningyu charging towards Shigang, Shi Shao raged. He had brought 2 intermediate grade 9 human sovereigns with him this time, Shigang and Shi Biao. Now that Shi Biao had been mercilessly killed, if Shigang was also killed, he would be punished everywhere, even if he returned to the Corpse sect. Therefore, in Shi Zhao's heart, he had to protect Shigang no matter what. Wouldn't I lose face if I don't dare just because you say so? Faint words came from Ningyu's mouth as Ningyu's speed increased, and he appeared before Shigang in the blink of an eye. Golden light burst out from his body as Ningyu clenched his right fist and punched towards Shigang. At the critical moment, Shigang gathered all the energy in his knowledge, into his arms, and used them to block his chest. Crack! The fist and arm collided, and Shigang felt a terrifying force coming from his arm. Uft! The terrifying force sent Shigang flying back, and blood spewed from his mouth, dyeing the sky red. Go, go! We must kill Ningyu no matter what. Shi Shao roared like a madman. At the same time, Shi Shao controlled the ferocious beast puppet to charge at Ningyu, trying to restrain Ningyu with it. Boom! The ferocious beast puppet was indeed powerful. In just one move, it had forced Ningyu back. One must know that Ningyu had mobilized the bloodline power of the war god physique. Those who block me will die. Sinister words came from Ningyu's mouth as Ningyu's aura soared once again. Everyone, let's attack together and kill him. Ningyu's actions made Shi Shao nervous. Right now, Ningyu was like a war god that could contend with the ferocious beast puppet. If Ningyu's aura soared again, the consequences would be unimaginable. At that time, aside from the ferocious beast puppet, even he would die here. Russell, the experts of the Corpse sect, were all ruthless characters. They knew that today was a moment of life and death. so they unleashed their trump cards one after another. They wanted to kill Ningyu before his aura reached its peak. At this moment, no one dared to underestimate Ningyu or the god of war physique. The power of the divine war body had already penetrated deep into their hearts, causing them to tremble. Once Ningyu's war god body, which possessed 100% bloodline power, matured, the consequences would be unimaginable. Even the corpse sect might be uprooted. Damn it! Why didn't anyone tell me that Ningyu has the war god body? The corpse hag roared as it fought. He was proud of his strength and had boasted before he came that he would definitely kill Ningyu. Unexpectedly, something went wrong along the way. Ningyu had the war god body, and the power of his bloodline was extremely rich. Kill Ningyu and obtain the bloodline of the war god body. The corpse hag's eyes became colder and colder. The celestial wolf sword in its hand waved repeatedly, interweaving several silver-white rays of light, like a giant net, pressing down on Ningyu. Break! Ningyu pointed out with a finger. Suddenly, the wind and clouds changed color. A golden cold light flew across the sky and appeared in front of the giant net in the blink of an eye. Crack! Wherever the golden cold light passed, the sky-high net would split open, and a huge gap would appear. The cold light passed through the gap and bombarded Corpse Gang. How dare you! Everything happened so fast that Corpse Hag didn't have time to react. The golden cold light hit Corpse Gang's heart. Poochie! The same situation happened again. The power of the golden cold light was obviously much stronger than the power of Ningyu's fist. Ningyu's fist could kill Corpse Biao, so naturally the golden cold light could kill Corpse Gang. In an instant, Corpse Gang's heart was pierced and his whole body exploded. Ah! As soon as Shurjun died, Corpse Hag let out a hysterical roar. In less than 3 minutes, the 2 9th-grade intermediate human supremes he brought with him were all killed. Anger filled Corpse Hag's chest. Russell! Ningyu was too powerful. He was so powerful that many Corpse sect experts retreated, not daring to face Ningyu. In the air, Ningyu's body emitted a golden light, like a golden god of war floating in the air, shocking everyone. On Ningyu's left, the Dark Emperor's hair stood on end and his tail swayed in the wind. Looking closely, he was actually absorbing the golden light emitted from Ningyu's body. The blood chi of the god of war overflowing from Ningyu's body was a great supplement to the Dark Emperor. It could make his mind excited and his battle strength soar. On Ningyu's right, Jin Tu's face was expressionless, and his eyes were calm. What are you doing? Are you trying to rebel? Go! Corpse Hag was completely enraged. The Corpse sect experts he brought with him were actually afraid of Ningyu's strength, so they all retreated. This made him feel ashamed. Crack! Crack! Corpse Hag, who was in a state of rage, flicked his fingers and 2 cold lights flew out. The cold lights turned into sharp swords and directly cut off the heads of 2 6th-grade human supremes. Rumble! Corpse Hag's powerful attack had a great effect. The remaining Corpse sect experts all stopped and didn't dare to take half a step back. Although Corpse Hag suffered a great loss in the battle with Ningyu, his cultivation was still at the late-stage 9th-grade human supremes. Moreover, Corpse Hag had a puppet with him, which was also at the late-stage 9th-grade human supremes. Strictly speaking, the puppet's battle strength was also very powerful and not much weaker than Corpse Hag. This puppet's original form was a one-horned Tyrannosaurus, a late-stage 9th-grade human supremes. Back then, in order to capture the one-horned Tyrannosaurus, Corpse Hag paid a great price. She gathered many late-stage 9th-grade human supremes and set up a trap to capture it. After capturing the one-horned Tyrannosaurus, Corpse Hag refined it for a whole year before it was refined into a puppet. One-horned puppet, go and tear that young man to pieces. Corpse Hag suddenly stomped on the ground and leaped into the air, facing Ningyu from afar. Pointing at Ningyu with his right hand, Corpse Hag said in a deep voice, as for the two guys next to him, kill them as well. Roar! The one-horned Tyrannosaurus let out a furious roar and turned into a gust of wind, charging at Ningyu. Although he was refined into a puppet, the one-horned Tyrannosaurus still had some intelligence, just that it wasn't complete. At this moment, there was only one thought in the puppet's mind, and that was to tear Ningyu to pieces and tear Ningyu to pieces. Ningyu, you go deal with Corpse Hag. Leave this big guy to me. And Jean and the Dark Emperor knew that Ningyu was going to kill Corpse Hag, so when he saw the puppet charging out, he kicked Jean Ann's butt and charged at the puppet first. The Dark Emperor was a 4th-grade human sovereign, and his battle prowess was comparable to a 9th-grade human sovereign. However, he wasn't a match for the puppet alone. In just one exchange, the Dark Emperor was sent flying and landed among the experts of the Corpse sect. Kill. Tear him to pieces. He's a purple-gold sky-devouring hound. Capture him alive. Capture the purple-gold sky-devouring hound alive and ask a skilled alchemist to refine pills for him. When the Dark Emperor landed, he was like a sheep in a tiger's mouth and was surrounded by the experts of the Corpse sect. Jean N, who was in the air, suddenly dashed out and engaged in a fierce battle with the one-horned puppet. At this moment, the Transverse Canyon was divided into 3 areas. The first area was where Jean N and the one-horned puppet were fighting. The second area was where the Dark Emperor was fighting the experts of the Corpse sect. As for the third area, it was in the air. Chapter 1263. Chapter 1263. A terrifying battle power. Ningyu, I admit that you're strong. Sure Shao didn't attack immediately. Instead, he glanced at the other 2 battlefields. The puppet's strength was slightly stronger than Jean 2's. In this battlefield, the puppet had the upper hand in pure physical attacks. On the other battlefield, although the Dark Emperor was defeated by the puppet, he was extremely powerful. He transformed into a native sky-devouring dog and swung his tail. Almost every time he swung his tail, a 6th-grade human supreme would be killed. Fortunately, the Corpsine sect still had a 9th-grade human supreme. Under the leadership of the 9th-grade human supreme, they gradually turned the tide and were about to suppress the Dark Emperor. Hand over the divine war-body bloodline, and I can spare you. Sure Shao smirked as he had the upper hand in both battlefields. However, before Sure Shao could finish her sentence, Ningyu rushed out and appeared in front of Sure Shao in an instant. His fist carried a violent Yuan Qi gale as it fiercely smashed into Sure Shao's chest. Damn it! The fact that Ningyu didn't play by the rules infuriated Sure Shao. He placed his right hand in front of his chest and collided with Ning-Yu's fist. When the 2 fists collided, both Ningyu and Sure Shao took a few steps back before they could stabilize themselves. Judging from the distance, Ningyu and Sure Shao were evenly matched. No one could do anything to the other. Heavenly Wolf's fury. Sure Shao was furious. He took out the Heavenly Wolf's sword and slashed. A huge shadow of a Heavenly Wolf appeared and roared as it charged at Ningyu. This huge shadow of a Heavenly Wolf was no different from a real one, but it was terrifyingly powerful. Even though Ningyu was prepared, he still felt his heart tremble. He didn't dare to face the shadow of a Heavenly Wolf. As expected of the Heavenly Wolf sword, a top-grade, royal-grade flying sword, there must be a Heavenly Wolf's soul sealed inside it. The Heavenly Wolf clan was known as the Ancient Ferocious Beasts. An adult Heavenly Wolf was at least a supremacy realm cultivator. The Heavenly Wolf, who possessed a supreme bloodline, was said to be born as a supreme being possessing terrifying strength. If the real Heavenly Wolf were to come, I might feel some fear. However, a mere Heavenly Wolf phantom image wants to suppress me? You are too arrogant. A cold glint shot out from Ningyu's eyes as he wielded the red demon sword and slashed at the illusory image of the Heavenly Wolf. How arrogant! Although the Sky Wolf's phantom image is only a phantom image, it is extremely powerful. If a random flying sword can kill it, that's impossible. Corpse Puppet said sinisterly when she saw Ning Yu slashing the red demon's sword at the celestial wolf phantom. However, the corpse puppet's pupils grew larger and larger. In the end, it was so shocked that its eyeballs almost popped out. Kacha! In midair, Ning Yu wielded the red demon's sword and slashed at the celestial wolf's head. Crack! The celestial wolf phantom image was split into two by Ning Yu's red devil. Roar! After the celestial wolf phantom image was split into two, an earth-shattering roar came from the celestial wolf sword. This roar seemed to be making a vow to Ning Yu. It was furious and wanted to grind Ning Yu's bones to dust. Humph! How dare you be so arrogant with a flying sword? Grab it and destroy it. Even the sword itself is cut in half. With a cold snort, Ning Yu stared at the celestial wolf sword in the corpse puppet's hand and said, "The celestial wolf sword is not worthy of being my flying sword." Uft! The corpse puppet was so angry that she spat out a mouthful of blood. The celestial wolf sword was a supreme-grade, emperor-level flying sword. It was extremely powerful. In the corpse puppet's opinion, as long as the celestial wolf sword was used, Ning Yu would definitely be killed. Now, it seemed that he had to do it himself. Taking a deep breath, the corpse puppet took a step forward and merged into the void. Once he made a move, it would be clear whether he was real or not. The corpse puppet moved. It looked like it was still in the same place, but in reality it was just a phantom image. The corpse puppet's real body had already arrived in front of Ning Yu. Die. The primordial qi contained in the corpse puppet's fist was no less than Ning Yu's. Universe palm. At the critical moment, Ning Yu took half a step back and then opened his fist into a palm. In order to kill the corpse puppet with one move, Ning Yu wrapped all the primordial qi in his body around his palm. Moreover, his late-stage rank 8 soul power and the longevity flame were also wrapped around his palm. The blood in his body circulated rapidly. The power of the war god body was unleashed to the extreme by Ning Yu. Bang! In the next moment, Ning Yu's palm and the corpse puppet's fist collided. Crack! Ning Yu's palm suddenly enlarged and wrapped around the corpse puppet's fist. With a sudden burst of force, the corpse puppet's fist made a crisp sound. Bones shattered. The bones in the corpse puppet's entire right hand were completely shattered. Ah! The pain from the shattered bones caused the corpse puppet to let out a heart-wrenching scream. It was obvious that the corpse puppet's right hand was completely crippled. Ning Yu, I'm going to tear you into pieces. The corpse puppet was trembling with rage. As a late-stage rank 9 human supreme, his right hand was actually crippled by Ning Yu. The enraged corpse puppet clenched his left fist and punched toward Ning Yu again. Good timing. Ning Yu was initially worried that the corpse puppet would escape. Now that the corpse puppet had gone berserk, Ning Yu was slightly relieved. If the corpse puppet escaped, Ning Yu would definitely not chase after it. After all, the Dark Emperor and the Golden Leo were in a fierce battle and were at a disadvantage. Ning Yu had to pay attention to their movements at all times. Now that the corpse puppet had gone berserk, it was the best opportunity for Ning Yu. All the golden blood in his body gathered at a point on his right hand. Ning Yu's eyes were indifferent as he raised his hand and punched. Crack, crack, crack. The power of Ning Yu's punch was extremely terrifying. The space cracked and a huge crack appeared. Not good. The corpse puppet didn't expect Ning Yu to have such a terrifying move. His pupils shrank as he turned around and ran. Where there's life, there's hope. From the corpse puppet's point of view, as long as he escaped now, he could come back in half an hour and easily finish off Ning Yu. However, how could Ning Yu give him such a chance? Ning Yu chased after the corpse puppet, and his right fist landed heavily on the corpse puppet's left hand. Crack! Ning Yu's fist landed on the corpse puppet's left hand. Without a doubt, the corpse puppet's left hand was directly cracked. The divine war body is indeed powerful. The surrounding corpse sect experts who were fighting with the Dark Emperor all revealed a look of fear. The terror of the divine war body was far beyond their expectations. Even the powerful corpse puppet wasn't a match for Ningyu, let alone them. Run! At this moment, the corpse sect experts once again had this thought and couldn't think of it for a long time. Whoosh! The experts of the corpse sect worked together to force back the Dark Emperor, and they all escaped. Dark Emperor, Golden Lion, chase after them. Don't let anyone escape. Ningyu's eyes flickered, and he said, "As for the horned puppet, leave it to me." Ning, you couldn't allow the corpse sect to know that he had the divine war body. With how cruel the corpse sect was, if they knew that he had the divine war body, they would probably send Earth sovereigns to deal with him. Right now, he was only a middle phase, 5th grade sovereign. Even if he used the power of his bloodline, he wouldn't be able to deal with an Earth sovereign. Before he fully matured, Ning Yu couldn't reveal that he had the divine war body. Understood. The Dark Emperor knew the severity of the situation. He flapped his purplish golden wings and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Whoosh! Chapter 1264. Subdue single-horned puppet, kill him. Seeing so many corpse sect experts fleeing, not only was Sher Shao not angry, but she was also very excited. The escape of the corpse sect experts had led the Dark Emperor and the golden puppet away. Originally, the one-horned puppet wanted to chase after Jinin, but the corpse hag, with her sharp eyes and quick mouth, stopped it in time. With the single-horned puppet by his side, the corpse hag wasn't very afraid of Ningyu. Sher Shao, do you really think this single-horned puppet can kill me? The corners of Ning Yu's lips curled up slightly. Ning Yu activated the War God Physique's bloodline power, allowing his strength to soar for half an hour. Now that there were 20 minutes left, Ning Yu was truly fearless. The reason why Ning Yu didn't attack immediately was because he wanted to subdue the single-horned puppet and the corpse puppet. Not long ago, Sher Shao had said that the Blood God Palace, Emperor God Palace, and other powerful sects had set up obstacles on the way to the Thousand-Leaf Empire. Ning Yu had a bold idea. He wanted to kill all the experts from the Blood God Palace and Emperor God Palace who were blocking his way. You are heartless to me, so don't blame me for being unjust to you. The power of the bloodline could not be used frequently. Every time it was used, it would take a long time to recuperate. Unless he could find a miraculous elixir, it would take at least a month for Ning Yu to mobilize the power of his bloodline again. Ning Yu couldn't wait for a month, so he had to subdue the corpse puppets and make them work for him. Whether I can kill it or not, I'll have to try to find out. A cold voice came from the mouth of the corpse puppet. Whoosh! In the next instant, the horned puppet tore through space and appeared in front of Ning Yu. Its blood chi is so dense. Could it be that it still retains the intelligence of a one-horned Tyrannosaurus? Sensing the terrifying aura emanating from the one-horned puppet, Ning Yu was shocked. Logically speaking, the one-horned Tyrannosaurus had already been refined into a puppet by the corpse puppet. It was impossible for it to have any flesh and blood aura. Boom! Right at this moment, the single-horned puppet transformed into a strong gust of wind that smashed fiercely towards Ning Yu. Humph! I might have been afraid of you just now, but now that I've activated the power of my bloodline, killing you now is as easy as killing an ant. With a cold snort, Ning Yu dodged to the side, grabbed the single-horned puppet's legs, and slammed it heavily on the ground. Dong dong! Ning Yu moved the horned puppet up and down, causing it to continuously hit the ground. Fortunately, the single-horned puppet's body was tough. Otherwise, it would have fallen apart long ago if Ning Yu moved like this. My horned puppet! Sher Zhao's pupils shrank as she roared. Noisy! Ningyu's eyes emitted a cold gleam, and then he swung the one-horned Tyrannosaurus at the corpse puppet. Kacha! 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 Although the corpse puppet was a late-stage, ninth-grade supreme martial artist, it had already lost its ability to fight. Moreover, the corpse puppet's body was not as tough as the single-horned puppet's, so the corpse puppet's ribs that had just been reconnected broke another 3 times. Ningyu, I'll kill you! The corpse puppet had a backbone, and it roared as it charged towards Ningyu. Not bad, you've got guts. Ningyu casually threw the half-dead, single-horned puppet to the side, and then looked at the corpse puppet with interest. Ningyu wanted to see what kind of trump card the corpse puppet had that it dared to be so presumptuous towards him. Run. However, what happened next made Ningyu a little dumbfounded. Before the corpse puppet reached Ningyu, it hurriedly took out a scroll from its bosom. The scroll exploded, and a small whirlpool appeared in the area. The corpse puppet leaped into the whirlpool. A cold voice came from the whirlpool. Ningyu, if you dare to go to the Thousand Leaves Empire, you're destined to be killed by me. Want to leave? It won't be that easy. Ningyu automatically ignored the corpse puppet's words. He picked up the single-horned puppet again and swung it heavily at the whirlpool. Rumble! The single-horned puppet's body was tough, and even though it hit the whirlpool, it did not shatter. Inside the whirlpool, the corpse puppet was no longer calm. The whirlpool formed by the scroll was not particularly stable. If Ningyu continued to bombard it like this, it would shatter sooner or later. Once the whirlpool cracked, it would be exposed to Ningyu's vision and caught by Ningyu. The consequences of falling into the enemy's hands could be imagined. No, I can't let the whirlpool break. The corpse puppet repeatedly forced out blood essence, trying to strengthen the whirlpool. Crack! However, the corpse puppet was no longer at its peak. No matter how hard it tried, the whirlpool was still getting weaker and weaker, and the shaking was getting more and more intense. Finally, a crisp sound rang out, and the whirlpool suddenly cracked open. Bang! After the whirlpool cracked open, the corpse puppet flew out like a kite with a broken string, crashing into the single-horned puppet. Ah, how could the corpse puppet's body compare to the single-horned puppet's in terms of toughness? The corpse puppet's body was about to fall apart, and it sat on the ground like a pile of mud. Defeated, completely defeated. The corpse puppet's eyes were empty and lifeless, and it was in complete despair. As a late-stage, ninth-grade supreme martial artist, and with the celestial wolf sword and the single-horned puppet, it was impossible. Who would have thought that it would still lose to Ningyu? I hate you! The corpse puppet wanted to roar out the frustration in its heart. It did not lose to Ningyu, but to carelessness, to inaccurate information, and to the war god physique. If it had known Ningyu's true combat strength in advance, it would not have lost, and it would have successfully killed Ningyu. Don't hate, I'll give you a chance to live. Ningyu took a step forward, swung the single-horned puppet, and was about to smash it at the corpse puppet. What chance? In the face of death, the corpse puppet, like most people, chose to drag out an ignoble existence. Submit to me, Ningyu said. I'll submit to him first, and then find a chance to escape. The corpse puppet thought in its heart. However, the corpse puppet did not reveal its inner thoughts, but acted a little unyielding. Impossible. I am a senior member of the Corpsine sect. I will never submit to you. Bang! Ningyu swung the single-horned puppet and smashed it. The corpse puppet was already seriously injured, and now that it was smashed by the single-horned puppet, it let out a cry. I submit to you. Stop smashing or I'll die. The corpse puppet hurriedly shouted. Oh, I thought you had something special in mind. Ningyu stopped and said, Open your mind and let my soul power enter your sea of consciousness. Controlling the corpse puppet was something that Ningyu had decided long ago, and it would never change, because in a dozen minutes his aura would decline, and he must control the corpse puppet before that. If not, he could only kill the corpse puppet. The corpse puppet was also rational. It knew that there was no way to argue with Ningyu at this time, so it could only be humble. As long as it found a good opportunity, it would be Ningyu's time to die. My mind has been completely opened. Your soul power can come in. The corpse puppet closed its eyes and said. However, the cold look in the corpse puppet's eyes flashed, and no one noticed it. Okay. Chapter 1265. Chapter 1265. Chapter 1265 Hunting Him? As soon as Ningyu's soul force entered the corpse puppet's sea of consciousness, he discovered that something was amiss. However, Ningyu did not say anything. Instead, he left most of his soul force at the back, separating out a wisp of it to probe the corpse puppet's sea of knowledge. Did he discover something? Seeing that Ningyu had not immediately taken control of himself and had instead split out a strand of his soul force to explore his sea of consciousness, Shi Zhao's expression became somewhat grave. The reason why he opened his mind and guided Ningyu's soul power into his sea of consciousness was because he felt that he had a way to deal with Ningyu. Of course, the premise was that Ningyu had to do everything he could to control him. Wait a little longer. Shi Zhao was patient. He knew what Ningyu was afraid of. The more it was like this, the calmer he had to be. He could not afford to make any mistakes. What is that? Suddenly, Ningyu discovered a dim light in the depths of the corpse puppet's sea of consciousness. Although this glow was a little dim, it was still discovered by Ningyu's keen senses. With a thought, Ningyu floated towards the depths of the corpse puppet's sea of consciousness. Almost there, just a little bit closer. Sensing that Ningyu was continuing to delve deeper into her sea of consciousness, the corpse puppet was so happy that she almost jumped up. As long as Ningyu took another step forward, he would fall into his trap. At that time, Ningyu's soul power would be trapped and his physical body would be easily destroyed. At a distance of one step, Ningyu suddenly felt a sense of alertness in the depths of his heart. With the corpse puppet's personality, it was impossible for her to surrender without putting up a fight. I was careless. Ningyu lifted his right foot and retracted it. Damn it! Seeing Ningyu retract his right foot, Shi Zhao couldn't help but curse. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. I'm so angry. Corpse puppet. At this point, Ningyu already knew that Shi Zhao was plotting against him. With his sharp eyes, Ningyu retracted his soul power from the corpse puppet's sea of consciousness, picked up the horned puppet from the ground, and threw it at the corpse puppet. Ning, you didn't use any essence qi spell techniques. He only used his physical strength to bombard the corpse puppets. Every time it was struck by the horned puppet, the corpse puppet would let out a blood-curdling screech. 98, 99, 100. Every time Ningyu swung the horned puppet, he would count it. Ning, you only stopped after swinging the horned puppet and smashing it 100 times. He said in a low voice, Shi Zhao, I originally only wanted you to work for me, but now it looks like I have to completely refine you. Don't refine me. I'll tell you everything I know. Please don't refine me. The corpse puppet knew that it was afraid. It didn't expect that everything it had planned would be seen through by Ningyu's keen perception. If it had known that this would happen, it would have completely opened its mind and allowed Ningyu to control it. Too late. Ningyu's face was expressionless. He swung the horned puppet again and smashed it at the corpse puppet's head. Bang! This time, Ningyu used almost all his strength and directly smashed the corpse puppet to the point where it was on the verge of death. Swoosh! At this moment, a cold light shot out from Ningyu's eyes and directly entered the corpse puppet's body. After this cold light entered the corpse puppet's body, it stuck closely to the corpse puppet's heart and went silent. After doing all this, Ningyu separated a wisp of soul power and carefully entered the corpse puppet's sea of consciousness. devouring and refining the light that the corpse puppet had left in the sea of consciousness. Following that, Ning Yu's main soul power retreated from the corpse puppet's sea of consciousness, leaving behind an imperceptible wisp of soul power that constantly emitted light. This wisp of soul power was left behind by Ning Yu to control the corpse puppet. With this wisp of soul power, the corpse puppet wouldn't dare to be impudent, or its sea of consciousness would be destroyed. Wake up! About 10 minutes later, Ning Yu kicked the corpse puppet's head with his right foot and said solemnly, "It's time to go." Ouch! After being kicked in the head by Ning Yu, the corpse puppet's eyes opened abruptly. The corpse puppet first looked at Ning Yu doubtfully and let out a mocking sound before shouting, "Ha ha ha! Ning Yu, the wheel of fortune really changes. This year it's my turn. You've lost all your yuan qi and your aura is weak. It must be the dissipation of the divine war body's aura. And you've also suffered a backlash. Scram, hand over all your dharma treasures and elixirs, or I'll teach you a lesson." Ning Yu kicked the corpse puppet again and said indifferently, "Rebel, you're really rebelling." The corpse puppet roared. How could it tolerate being bullied by Ning Yu again and again? Climbing up from the ground with difficulty, the corpse puppet raised its fist and was about to smash at Ning Yu. Pa! However, as soon as the corpse puppet raised its right fist, it subconsciously smashed its own cheek. The corpse puppet was dumbfounded. Its eyes widened in disbelief. Shaking its head, the corpse puppet raised its fist again and smashed at Ning Yu. Pa, 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 pa! Not only did the corpse puppet's fist not smash at Ning Yu, it kept smashing its own cheek. Soon, the corpse puppet's head turned into a pig's head. Quick, let me. Woo, stop. The corpse puppet was very smart and knew who was the culprit after thinking for a while. Ning Yu. It must be Ning Yu who did something to it while it was unconscious. Ning Yu just wanted to teach the corpse puppet a lesson. He didn't really want to take its life. With a thought, Ning Yu let go of the control of the corpse puppet. "Ning Yu, what do you want?" Although Ning Yu let go of the control, the corpse puppet was still a little scared. From time to time, it stared at Ning Yu, afraid that what happened just now would happen again. The corpse puppet had already recognized the fact that it was controlled by Ning Yu. If Ning Yu wanted to kill it, it would be effortless. In this situation, it could only pretend to be polite to Ning Yu first, and then think of a way to contact the experts of the other major sects. "You want to join forces with the others to deal with me?" As soon as the thought appeared in the corpse puppet's mind, Ning Yu crossed his arms in front of his chest and stared at the corpse puppet with interest. This is bad. Being stared at by Ning Yu like this, the corpse puppet knew that it was bad. Pa! Pa! Sure enough, the corpse puppet's right hand once again went out of control and hit its own cheek. Muffled sounds rang out as the corpse puppet's fist continued to fall on its cheek. The corpse puppet's head was already like a pig's, and now that it was hit by it, its cheek was swollen to the point that it couldn't even see its eyes. I only want to cooperate with smart people. As for those who aren't smart, I don't mind sending them to hell. Ning Yu took a step forward and revealed his aura. Although the bloodline power of the war god body had disappeared, Ning Yu didn't show any signs of weakness. Instead, he was as strong as before. This situation was obviously out of the corpse puppet's expectation. How did he recover so quickly? Could it be that he has some kind of heavenly treasure? The corpse puppet's heart beat rapidly. A heavenly treasure that could quickly remove the aftereffects of the war god body must be very special. Once he obtained it, his strength would increase greatly. Whether I have a heavenly treasure or not, it's not your concern. What you need to do now is to tell me where the other experts of the corpsine sect are. Next, I'm going to hunt. Chapter 1266. Myriad Bone Cave Ning Yu. They are all experts of the corpsine sect. If you want to kill them, Aren't you afraid that venerable corpsine will personally come to the Transverse Canyon? The corpse puppet pretended to be calm and said in a low voice, "You seem to be fearless." Ning Yu narrowed his eyes and said faintly, "How could I dare to be so fearless? I am currently being controlled by you and might die at any moment. I am a prisoner, so I am only considering things from your perspective." The corpse puppet said, "Pa." Ning Yu slapped the corpse puppet's cheek, sending it flying and crashing into the mountain wall. "You dare to behave atrociously here without any trump cards? If you know what's good for you, then take me to the corpsine sect as soon as possible. If you can't kill them all within a day, I'll skin you alive," Ning Yu said coldly. He did not want to waste any more time here. The Dark Emperor and Jean were chasing after the corpse sex experts. Up until now, Ning Yu still hadn't contacted them. Logically speaking, both the Dark Emperor and the Golden Two were connected to Ning Yu. Now that Ning Yu could not contact them, it meant that they were most likely in danger. The more Ning Yu thought about it, the more anxious he became. He raised his hand and slapped the corpse puppet a few more times. "Last chance, take me to the experts of the corpsine sect or die." Ning Yu's aura burst forth, as if he was going to kill the corpse puppet if it refused. I'll talk. It's very likely that they're at the Blood God Palace." "Ka-ka." The corpse puppet's knees creaked, not daring to be slow. At the same time, in order to gain Ning Yu's trust, Shao revealed a secret. In order to kill you, the Blood God Palace sent a much stronger lineup than our corpse sect. "How strong?" Ning Yu asked. "Peak 9th grade sovereign." Shao said, "The Blood God Palace has sent a total of 3 experts this time. 2 of them are late 9th grade human sovereigns, and 1 is peak 9th grade human sovereign." "Pinnacle 9th grade sovereign." Hearing this, Ning Yu frowned slightly, feeling a little troubled. A peak 9th grade human supreme being was indeed very powerful, far exceeding his current strength. According to Ning Yu's speculations, he would have to think of a way to reach the 6th grade sovereign realm and use the full power of his bloodline to fight with a pinnacle 9th grade sovereign realm human sovereign. Of course, this was just a simple exchange of blows. There was no way for him to defeat Zhang Xian. If he wanted to defeat a pinnacle 9th grade sovereign, Ning Yu would have to reach the pinnacle 6th grade sovereign realm or even the 7th grade sovereign realm before he could defeat a pinnacle 9th grade sovereign. Taking a deep breath, Ning Yu felt a deep pressure. If the corpse puppet wasn't lying, then the Blood God Palace was determined to kill them. "Let's go. Take me to the experts of the corpsine sect." Kicking the corpse puppets, but Ning Yu said, "You don't have to give me the exact location of the corpse sex experts within half an hour. Otherwise, I'll roast you alive." Ning Yu was incomparably domineering. In fact, it wasn't surprising. Ning Yu had left 2 backups in the corpse puppet's sea of consciousness and heart, so he wasn't afraid that the corpse puppet would betray him. With these 2 backups, the corpse puppet wouldn't be able to cause any trouble. "Let the one-horned puppet take us," the corpse puppet hurriedly said. The corpse puppet knew the approximate location of the Dark Emperor's group, which was very far away from here. With the speed of his injured body, it would probably take a few hours to get there. Ning Yu gave him half an hour. If he couldn't find the exact location of the Dark Emperor's group within half an hour, Ning Yu might really kill him. "It's fine, this one-horned puppet is mine. Point out the direction, and I'll take you there." Ning Yu waved his hand and flicked his finger. Suddenly, a cold light flew out and entered the one-horned puppet's sea of consciousness. "Ah!" The corpse puppet let out a miserable scream. At this moment, the corpse puppet discovered that its connection with the one-horned puppet had been severed. In other words, Ning Yu controlled the one-horned puppet, the puppet that he had spent a lot of effort to refine. Swish! Ignoring the cold gaze of the corpse puppet, Ning Yu kicked the corpse puppet's chest and kicked it onto the one-horned puppet. As for Ningyu, he leaped up and stood on the back of the one-horned puppet, controlling it to pass through the transverse canyon and move forward quickly. Which direction? Go straight ahead about 5 minutes. After leaving the transverse canyon, the corpse puppet took out a round plate from its bosom. There was a silver needle on the round plate. At this moment, the silver needle was swaying left and right, but its general direction was ahead. Go. Ningyu controlled the one-horned puppet and moved forward continuously. The one-horned puppet's speed was very fast, almost leaping several li in a single leap. East, 3 minutes. South, 1 minute. Straight, 10 minutes. Along the way, under the guidance of the round plate, the one-horned puppet kept turning its head. The one-horned puppet's speed was very fast, so fast that it turned into a gust of wind. I got it. Suddenly, the corpse puppet slapped its head and shouted. What's going on? Ningyu asked. I know where the experts of the Corpse-Ean sect and the Dark Emperor are trapped. After taking a deep breath, the corpse puppet revealed a frightened expression. Trapped? Where are they trapped? Ningyu faintly felt that something was wrong, but he still said in a deep voice, 10,000 Bone Cave. The corpse puppet uttered these 3 words. 10,000 Bone Cave? Ningyu's eyebrows twitched. It was obvious that he was unfamiliar with this place. It's over, it's over. Anyone who enters the 10,000 Bone Cave will not have a good ending. The corpse puppet seemed to have gone crazy as it kept uttering these words. Slap. Ningyu slapped the corpse puppet's cheek, temporarily calming it down. Speak, what's going on? Ningyu said, coldly. He wanted to know. I'll tell you the truth. The 10,000 Bone Cave is very deep, so deep that you can't see the bottom. It's said that there's something powerful inside. The corpse puppet didn't seem to want to mention that place, but due to Ningyu's power it had to say, the 10,000 Bone Cave is not just a cave. With the 10,000 Bone Cave as the center, the surrounding area is very terrifying. Not to mention ordinary warriors. Even a 9th grade human supreme would have a slim chance of survival if they entered there. How can you be sure that the Dark Emperor and the others entered the area where the 10,000 Bone Cave is? Ningyu asked. I can't be wrong. This silver needle wheel will not lie to me. The corpse puppet raised the wheel in its hand and handed it to Ningyu. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as Ningyu held the wheel, the silver needle on the wheel swayed left and right, gradually increasing its speed. Not long after, the silver needle suddenly shattered, and cracks appeared on the entire wheel. Not good. The area of the 10,000 Bone Cave has expanded. Let's go, or else we won't be able to come out if we are trapped inside. Seeing the silver needle shatter and the wheel crack, the corpse puppet shouted crazily as it continuously retreated. At this moment, the corpse puppet acted as if it had seen a ghost. It did not listen to Ningyu's control at all. At this moment, the corpse puppet only had one thought in its mind, and that was to leave this damned place as soon as possible. It did not want to step into the area where the 10,000 Bone Cave was. Chapter 1267. Crack, crack. Although the corpse puppet was constantly retreating, if one looked closely, it was spinning in place. In the end, the corpse puppet's knees were broken, and its entire body sat on the ground. Panting heavily, the corpse puppet's face was full of despair. It's over, it's over, it's over this time. I've alerted the strongest experts in the 1,000 Bone Cave. The corpse puppet could not stop talking. Its eyes were dim, and its entire body was surrounded by a cloud of turbid air. What the hell is this? Ningyu took a step forward and shook off the turbid air around the corpse puppet. He said in a deep voice, How dare you behave atrociously in front of me? Don't resist. You are no match for them. In the 1,000 Bone Caves area they are the kings. They are almost invincible among those of the same level. Even killing those of a higher level is not a problem. The corpse puppet said weakly, and even tried to persuade Ningyu to give up. Ningyu's hair stood on end. Who was the corpse puppet? It was a late-stage 9th grade human supreme of the Corpsine sect. It was extremely powerful. If he did not use the bloodline power of the war god body, he would not be able to fight against the corpse puppet. But such a peerless expert now had no fighting spirit and was completely lazy. Ningyu was very confused. What was hidden in the 1,000-bone cave that could make the corpse puppet like this? Kiki, humans. It's been a long time since I've eaten humans. A late-stage 9th grade human supreme and a middle-stage 5th grade human supreme. Looks like I can have a good meal today. A gloomy voice rang in Ningyu's ears. Then, a fist tore through the void and punched towards Ningyu's head. Boom! Ningyu was alarmed. He threw out a backhand punch, which collided with the fist behind his head unavoidably. When the two fists collided, Ningyu and the mysterious expert both retreated several feet. Oh! After one move, the gloomy voice rang out again. But this time, there was a hint of surprise in the voice. A middle grade, 5th grade sovereign realm cultivator is so powerful to be able to receive 10% of my strength. Indeed, he's not simple. He's much stronger than those who came not long ago. Hearing this, Ningyu raised his eyebrows. He didn't show it on the surface, but his heart was in turmoil. It seemed like the Dark Emperor and the Golden Leo had entered this 10,000-bone cave by mistake. Voila! In an instant, the space in front of Ningyu split open, and a young man appeared. This young man was similar to Ningyu. He was dressed in a blue robe, and his body was emitting a terrifying essence chi fluctuation. As soon as the young man appeared, Ningyu discovered that the world tree sapling in his storage ring was trembling slightly. Could it be? Ningyu's expression was gloomy. He could vaguely guess the young man's identity. Danzhong! Ningyu didn't say anything. The corpse puppet next to him said with a terrified expression, "You're the Danzhong of the 10,000-bone cave. Why do you want to hurt me? I'm just passing by. Besides, I'm from the Incorp sect. Our sect leader knows an expert from your Danzhong clan. According to the rules of the 10,000-bone cave, all living beings that step into this place will become our food." The young man shrugged and said, "You're not bad. A late-stage, 9th grade, sovereign realm cultivator. You'll definitely taste good." As he spoke, the young man moved quickly and charged at the corpse puppet. Whoosh! Ningyu stomped on the ground and instantly stood in front of the corpse puppet. The corpse puppet was Ningyu's captive. Even if she was to be killed, Ningyu had to do it himself. How could he allow an outsider to interfere? Besides, the one before him was not a human but a Danzhong. "You're courting death." A cold light shot out from the young man's eyes towards Ningyu. The young man was unwilling to accept that his punch had failed to kill Ningyu. He was a peerless Danzhong, ranked 10th in the 10,000-bone cave. He was a mid-stage 5th grade sovereign realm cultivator, but he couldn't even finish off a human mid-stage 5th grade sovereign realm cultivator. If word got out, where would he put his face? Most importantly, this was the territory of the 10,000-bone cave. He could use the power of the 10,000-bone cave to increase his own strength and suppress his opponents. Under such circumstances, he still couldn't kill his opponent with one punch. If word got out to the 10,000-bone cave and the other Danzhong found out, he would become a laughingstock among the other Danzhong. Ningyu's expression was emotionless. He clenched his right hand into a fist and threw out a punch. Pa! Ningyu's fist collided with the cold light and both dissipated. "You're not bad, but unfortunately, you're still no match for me." In just 2 short exchanges, Ningyu had a rough idea of the young man's true strength. He was a mid-stage, 5th grade sovereign realm cultivator, With the help of the taboo formation, he could explode with the battle power of an early stage, ninth grade sovereign realm cultivator. However, this battle power was obviously useless against Ningyu. Really? The young man's eyes widened. He waved his hands and instantly activated the surrounding taboo formation. Brat, in this taboo formation, I'm invincible and you'll be suppressed, the young man said fiercely. If I want to kill you, it'll be as easy as blowing off dust. Who doesn't know how to brag? The corner of Ning Yu's mouth curled up. He moved his feet and walked towards the young man. Ning Yu's speed wasn't too fast, but he kept moving forward. Damn it! Damn it! The young man cursed. At this moment, the young man panicked. It seemed that the young man in front of him was not ordinary, and the taboo formation was useless against him. Tell me where the Dark Emperor and the others are, and I can spare your life. With the sapling blocking the advancement formation, Ningyu was fearless. He took a step forward and appeared in front of the young man. Ningyu's majestic voice sounded out from his mouth, shocking everyone's heart. You want to kill me? It's not that easy. The young man had a trump card. He took out a crystal ball and suddenly crushed it. Suddenly, an extremely dense wave of Yuan Qi appeared and was swallowed by the young man. Yuan Qi pill puppet. Seeing the young man's actions, Ningyu stopped and did not attack immediately. The young man in front of him was an Yuan Qi pill puppet. Otherwise, he wouldn't have swallowed so much dense Yuan Qi. At this moment, Ningyu had a bold idea. He could use this young man to lure out an even stronger Yuan Qi pill puppet from the Myriad Bone Cave. Ningyu was currently a mid-stage, 5th grade human supreme. He hadn't accumulated enough Yuan Qi to break through to the late-stage, 5th grade human supreme. Although this young man was only a mid-stage, 5th grade human supreme, the pure Yuan Qi in his body was even greater than that of a late-stage, 9th grade human supreme. As long as he could swallow a few more of these pill puppets, Ningyu was confident that he could quickly advance to the late-stage, 5th grade human supreme, or even the late-stage, 6th grade human supreme. Thinking of this, Ningyu said calmly, I won't kill you. You can leave. The young man didn't know what Ningyu was planning. Logically speaking, he had bullied Ningyu like this, so there was no reason for Ningyu to let him go. What I mean is, leave this body of yours, and you can split a part of your consciousness to return to the Myriad Bone Cave. Chapter 1268. Chapter 1268. Chapter 1268. Resuscitation. Humph. You want me to leave? It won't be that easy. After swallowing the pure Yuan Qi in the crystal ball, the young man's aura increased several times. On the surface, the young man's cultivation was still in the middle phase, 5th grade sovereign realm, but his fighting prowess had increased by a lot. Although the taboo formation is useless against you, we are of the same realm. I can still kill you. With that, the young man stomped his feet on the ground, and his body instantly shot out. At this moment, the young man wanted to start a massacre. He wanted to kill Ningyu. As the 10th ranked pill puppet of the Myriad Bone Cave, the young man was very arrogant. When he fought with Ningyu just now, he was at a disadvantage, so this time he had to get back at him. Kill Ningyu and refine him. The young man's aura skyrocketed. It was extremely terrifying, as if his aura could swallow mountains and rivers. Reckless. Ningyu's eyes flashed with a cold light as he faced the young man who was charging at him. He said in a low voice, I originally wanted to let you live, but since you're looking for death, I'll fulfill your wish. For the current Ningyu, he had no fear even if they were in the same realm. The young man in front of him was only at the middle stage of the 5th rank. Even if he was a Dan puppet, even if he had outstanding talent, there was no way he could contend against Ningyu. Universe Palm. Ningyu clenched his right fist and punched out. The The universe palm was the 9th move of the netherworld samsara palm. It was extremely powerful, especially after Ningyu advanced to the 5th grade mortal sovereign realm. The might of the universe palm was several times stronger than before. Ningyu's palm was very fast. His whole body was like an afterimage, appearing in front of the young man like a ghost. A crisp sound rang out. Ningyu's right hand left a mark on the young man's cheek. What? The sudden change caused the young man's expression to change drastically, and he even felt a little terrified. It's not good to be distracted now. After deciding to attack, Ningyu would not hold back. He grabbed the horned puppet and swung it at the young man. Kacha! Kacha! The single-horned puppet's body was extremely hard, so hard that it was terrifying. Ningyu had only just swung the horned puppet a few times when the young man was already covered in blood and his aura was rapidly weakening. What a piece of trash! I haven't even done anything, and you've already fallen. Seeing the young man sitting on the ground, panting heavily and covered in blood, Ningyu curled his lips and said, "You're too weak. You're not worthy of me using my full strength." Pucci! Hearing Ningyu's arrogant words, the young man couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Brat, are you trying to bully our 10,000 bone cave? The young man roared, "If you have the ability, you can let me go. I'll find someone to deal with you. Have you lost your mind?" Ningyu's mouth was slightly agape as he stared at the young man in disbelief. "You want me to send back a delicious meal that's already in your mouth? Do you have a tumor in your head?" Pu. Ningyu's words were very vicious, causing the young man to spit out a mouthful of blood. "If it wasn't for the fact that I want information from you, I would have killed you long ago." Ningyu took a step forward and unleashed a powerful aura that soared into the sky. Actually, Ningyu was right. The young man was only a 5th grade intermediate human supreme. If Suemo wanted to kill him, he wouldn't even need to do it himself. Just the single-horned puppet alone would be enough. The puppet wasn't a human, so it wouldn't be restricted by the forbidden formation. Furthermore, with the puppet's 9th grade advanced human supreme strength, it wouldn't take much effort to kill the young man. Ha! Don't even think about getting any information from me. Ha! The young man roared like a madman. At this moment, the young man seemed to have really lost his mind. "I didn't want to devour you so early, but since you're looking for death, I can only start with you." Ningyu took a step forward and raised his right foot, stomping heavily on the young man's chest. Crack! The young man struggled with all his might, but he couldn't escape. Several of his ribs were also broken. Swoosh! At this moment, the small sapling burst out from the storage ring and entered the young man's mind. Buzz! The sapling was the world tree, and it specialized in suppressing pill puppets. Although the young man was a 5th grade intermediate human supreme pill puppet, his aura was weak, so he was naturally no match for the sapling. Not long after, the young man was refined by the sapling. Where's the energy? Ningyu was puzzled when he saw that the sapling didn't give him any energy after refining the young man. One must know that the sapling had given him a lot of energy after refining the pill puppet in the past few times. Why didn't it this time? The sapling wanted to eat it alone. Ningyu was shocked. "I need a lot of energy." Just when Ningyu was about to interrogate the sapling, an extremely weak fluctuation rang in Ningyu's mind. What the hell? The voice in his mind shocked Ningyu. He looked at the sapling in front of him suspiciously and asked, "Is it really you?" "Energy. I need a large amount of energy. Take me to the myriad bone cave." The fluctuation became weaker and weaker and finally disappeared completely. Gulp. Ningyu swallowed a mouthful of saliva. It really was the sapling talking. Could it be that the sapling had become a spirit? Ningyu had many questions in his mind, but he knew that the sapling was in a deep sleep, and no one would answer his questions. If he wanted to understand everything, he had to find a large amount of energy for the sapling to wake it up again. After last time, Ningyu realized that the sapling was getting more and more sleepy, and it no longer produced shenyang pills. To the Myriad Bone Cave. After thinking for a while, Ningyu decided to personally go to the Myriad Bone Cave. Although there were dangers in the Myriad Bone Cave, danger and opportunity coexisted. Without danger, there would be no opportunity. You didn't want to miss this opportunity. Moreover, the Dark Emperor and Golden Puppet were most likely trapped in the Myriad Bone Cave. You had to go to the Myriad Bone Cave. Shi Shao, lead the way. I want to go to the Myriad Bone Cave. Yu grabbed Shi Zhao's shoulder and threw it on the horned puppet's shoulder. Shi Shao was Yu's backup. Yu naturally wouldn't leave Shi Shao behind. I can't go. The Myriad Bone Cave is extremely dangerous. Anyone who enters will definitely not survive. I'm not going. Shi Shao shouted, and at the same time, tried to jump off the horned puppet's shoulder. Humph. Yu said angrily, if you want to stay, I'll send you on your way. As he spoke, Yu pointed a finger at the center of Shi Zhao's brows. Ah! An intense pain came from the forehead, causing Shi Shao to scream. Shi Zhao's screams were very miserable, and she almost fainted a few times. After a while, Shi Zhao's screams stopped. I'll bring you to the Myriad Bone Cave. 100 miles ahead is where the Myriad Bone Cave is. The eyes of the corpse puppet were dim and lifeless. Let's go. Chapter 1269. Chapter 1269. Chapter 1269 to seize Myriad Bone Cave. This was a place of great danger. According to legend, all living beings that stepped into the Myriad Bone Cave's territory were killed without exception. However, something special had happened in the Myriad Bone Cave recently. Someone saw a youth step into the Myriad Bone Cave's area and enter the Myriad Bone Cave. 3 days later, the young man stepped on a cloud and flew out of the 1,000 Bone Cave. A few days later, someone discovered that the young man had appeared in the Qinya Empire and finally landed in the Divine Emperor Palace. Of course, these were all rumors and not necessarily true. He really overestimates himself. He actually went to the Myriad Bone Cave alone. If not for the fact that we were out traveling, how could we have allowed him to act so viciously? In the depths of the Myriad Bone Cave, within a certain luxurious palace, a young man with outstanding talents said in a deep voice, Little Nine, there is no need to be angry. The ancestor has said that we can leave the Myriad Bone Cave in a few days and head to the 1,000-Leaf Empire to search for opportunities. Opposite the young man, a man in his 20s said, Eighth brother, has a sovereign divine treasure really appeared in the 1,000-Leaf Empire? The eyes of the young man with a brilliant horn opened wide when he heard this. Hee for real. The man called Brother Ba smiled faintly and said, Big brother, second brother, third brother. The 3 of them have already gone to the 1,000-Leaf Empire to scout for us. When the time is right, we'll go there as well. Good. The appearance of the supreme divine treasure is definitely a great opportunity for our lineage to rise. The youth with the brilliant horn clapped his hands and cheered. There's no hurry. There's still a period of time before the supreme divine treasure truly appears. Let's go take a look at that heaven-devouring dog. Waving his hand, Mina walked out of the palace. Rumor has it that Brother Ba caught a sky-devouring dog with an ancient bloodline. It's better to see it in person than to hear about it. I'll go take a look today. The young man with bright horns followed behind Mina and left the palace. Creak. In the dark secret room, the door was slowly pushed open. This secret room was located in the deepest part of the 1,000 Bone Cave. It was the underground prison of the 1,000 Bone Cave. It was rumored that all supreme beings and above who stepped into the Myriad Bone Cave would be brought here. As for what they would encounter here, no one knew, because no living being from the outside world had ever left. At this moment, The promising youth and the Mino were walking side by side in the secret chamber. On the two sides of the secret chamber were several cages. One, each cage imprisoned a supreme being. Some of these experts raised their heads and laughed. Some muttered to themselves. Some pounded their heads on the ground, and some remained silent. Without exception, the weakest among them was at the utmost exalted realm. 2. Supreme Being 1. Supreme Being, in the end, there were even 2 peerless powerhouses. Although they were trapped by the huge chains, it could still be seen from the surface that they were peak 9th grade human supreme martial artists before they were trapped. 1. 2 Dragon, 2 9 Heaven on. A Supreme 1 2. 2 Dragon Dragon 2 King 2 2 2, 2 2 2 2 2 2. The horned youth glanced at the 2 peerless experts with a look of disdain. Mina was very calm and always gave people a feeling of maturity and steadiness. The 8th brother's name was Dan Kong, and he was ranked 8th among the Myriad Bone Cave's peerless pill puppets. He was a peak 5th grade human sovereign. The outstanding youth beside him was called Dan Hao. He was ranked 9th amongst the peerless geniuses of the Myriad Bone Cave and had a cultivation of late 5th grade sovereign. After refining the 2 of them, 8th brother should be able to break through to the 6th grade human supreme, right? Dan Hao's face lit up with joy. Once 8th brother reaches the 6th grade sovereign realm, his strength will increase by several folds. At that time, he will be able to fight for the top 3. It's not that easy to fight for the top 3. Shaking his head, Dan Kong continued, Even if I advance to the 6th grade sovereign realm, I can only make it to the top 5. It's basically impossible for me to make it to the top 3. Hee hee. 8th brother, don't think that I don't know that you captured the purple gold heaven-devouring hound. You definitely want to use some secret technique to refine it into an elixir. Dan Hao chuckled. That's a purple gold sky-devouring hound we're talking about. His bloodline is extremely dense. If we use him to refine medicine, there's a high chance we'll succeed. We're here. Dan Kong smiled indifferently before pushing open the door to the deepest secret chamber. The order inside isn't stable. Try not to use too much energy. Don't worry, 8th brother. It's not my first time here. I know what to do. It's good that you know. Dan Kong took out a key from his bosom and tossed it out. The key instantly shone brightly and opened the last door amidst Dan Hao's surprised exclamation. Creak! Roar! As soon as the door opened, an earth-shattering roar came from within. 8th brother, didn't you say that you captured a heaven-devouring hound? Hearing this roar, Dan Hao was a little confused. The owner of the roar didn't sound like a dog at all. Instead, it sounded like a tiger or a lion. This dog is a little special. It's always barking. Dan Kong said, Let's go in. Other than that dog, there's something special. Something special. Dan Hao raised an eyebrow and followed closely behind Dan Kong. You 2 brats, hurry up and release your imperial grandfather. Otherwise, Ningyu will skin you alive when he comes. Seeing Dan Hao and Dan Kong enter, the Dark Emperor roared. Chains interweaved around the Dark Emperor's body, trapping him to the point that he couldn't move at all. Even though the Dark Emperor was a grade 4 human supreme, he was helpless against these chains. Behind the Dark Emperor, Jean An's body emitted a golden glow as he tried his best to defend against the golden scroll above him. I would like to meet that so-called Ningyu. Dan Kong walked past the Dark Emperor and stood before Jean, and this Jean An's mind is extremely special. Even the ancient scroll can't break it. 8th brother, the special thing you're talking about should be this Dan An, right? Dan Hao pointed at Jean and nodding. Dan Kong said, That's right. This Dan An's battle prowess has reached the late stage grade 9 human supreme. Furthermore, it's made of special materials. If we can control it, It'll be of great help to us in the fight for the sovereign divine treasure." "What's so difficult about that?" Dan Hao took a step forward, and a cold gleam shot out from his eyes. Chi-Chi. The cold gleam tore through the void and appeared between Jean Anne's brows. "Get in." Dan Hao forced out his blood to activate the cold gleam. Jean Anne's body shone brightly as he tried his best to defend against the cold gleam. 10 minutes later, Jean Anne finally couldn't hold on any longer. His forehead was pierced. Pucci. At the same time, outside the myriad bone cave, Ningyu felt something sweet in his throat as he spat out a mouthful of blood. "It really is in the myriad bone cave." Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Ningyu's face turned even colder. Chapter 1270. Kill. Sapling, if you want more energy, stop pretending to be dead. Hurry, and tell me if there are any powerful old monsters in the Myriad Bone Cave. Standing at the entrance of the Myriad Bone Cave, Ningyu began to communicate with the sapling. Ningyu was not a fool. He would not barge into the Myriad Bone Cave like this. Since the Myriad Bone Cave could make people's expressions change, it meant that this place was special and extremely dangerous. Although he was eager to save the Dark Emperor, Ningyu had to plan ahead and would not barge in recklessly. Forbidden array. I can break your energy. I am asleep. An ethereal voice rang out in Ningyu's mind. Ningyu was slightly startled. It seemed that the sapling had recovered quite a bit after devouring the young man. The sapling is the world tree. It should not lie to me. After a moment, Ningyu clenched his teeth and jumped into the Myriad Bone Cave. The Myriad Bone Cave had a total of 10 levels. At this moment, Ningyu stood at the entrance of the first level and looked up. The words Myriad Bone Cave were carved on a huge rock. It should have been carved by a 9th grade human sovereign. Ningyu's gaze landed on the rock. Slash! Suddenly, Ningyu moved. He wielded the red demon's sword and heavily slashed at the rock. Crack! In an instant, the rock was shattered. However, the words Myriad Bone Cave on the rock turned into 3 sharp swords that shot straight at Ningyu. Small fry. Ningyu's fighting spirit soared as he waved the red demon's sword in his hand. In an instant, several sword lights flew out and blocked the 3 sharp swords. Crash! The battle did not last long, ending in a minute. However, after the battle ended, several figures suddenly rushed out of the first level of the Myriad Bone Cave. Ningyu looked over and saw that the cultivation of these figures was not very high. The highest was only a 3rd grade human sovereign. Which scoundrel dares to trespass the 10,000 Bone Cave? Kill without mercy. Numerous Supreme Being realm martial artists moved out one after another. For a time, this area was filled with magical techniques and sword shadows. In the middle of the battle, Ningyu was calm and unafraid. He waved the red demon's sword in his hand even more vigorously. Ka-ka-ka! Every time Ningyu swung the red demon's sword, a Supremacy Realm martial artist's head would fall to the ground. After the venerable stage Dan puppet died, their bodies would explode, and the energy within their bodies would transform into a ball of light that entered Ningyu's storage ring. Not good, retreat quickly. Ningyu's fiend-like battle finally caused these pill puppets to retreat in fear. However, since Ningyu had decided to make a move, he would not let a single one of them escape. In order to kill these pill puppets as soon as possible, Ningyu did not hold back. He even brought out the single-horned puppet. The single-horned puppet had fought with Jean 2 before. Its strength was at the late stage, 9th grade sovereign stage. It was a terrifying existence. Ningyu and the single-horned puppet attacked together. In just 3 minutes, they killed all the experts here. Apart from the majority of the pill puppets transforming into energy and being absorbed by the sapling, a small amount of energy landed in Ningyu's body and was devoured and refined by Ningyu. Not bad. The pill puppets are indeed my lucky star. If I want to break through in the future, I should look for them. Ningyu was very satisfied. This battle was very shocking. He and the single-horned puppet worked together and killed many pill puppets. Without exception, these pill puppets were all essence pill caverns. The energy within their bodies filled Ningyu's consciousness with vitality, and his cultivation reached the peak of the mid-stage, 5th grade, sovereign stage. To the 2nd floor, Ningyu waved his hand and directly brought the single-horned puppet to the 2nd floor, before entering the 10,000 bone cave to ensure the safety of the corpse puppet. Ningyu threw it into the storage ring. After all, the storage ring could store people and temporarily protect the corpse puppet's life. 2. The 2nd floor of the 10,000 bone cave was similar to the 1st floor. There was also a huge stone. On the stone there was a 2 carved. It was carved by a 5th grade sovereign stage. Ningyu was a little surprised. He did not expect a 5th grade sovereign stage to be able to carve this kind of word. This, too, had already triggered a great momentum, and it could faintly merge with the void. Break! Ningyu flicked his finger. Instantly, a cold light flew out and hit the stone. Ningyu was very surprised, because when the cold light hit the stone only shook a little and then returned to normal. One must know that the cold light just now was an attack with 30% of Ningyu's strength. Just one word can block an attack with 30% of my strength. It's much stronger than that 5th grade sovereign stage, who was shouting outside. Ningyu put away his contempt and began to re-examine the stone. Not long after, Ningyu made his move. Once he made his move, it was shocking. Ningyu held the red demon sword in his hand and slashed at the stone. Crack! Ningyu's attack was earth-shattering. The huge stone was directly pierced through and split into 2. The 2 turned into a cold light, trying to hide in the void. Trying to leave? Stay and let me have a look. Ningyu made his move again. The frequency of the red demon sword in his hand became faster and faster, so fast that it could not be seen with the naked eye. The 2 wanted to block, but in the end it was powerless and lost, and Ningyu took it away. This word is very special. It contains a trace of a special path. Looking at the 2, Ningyu frowned and murmured, "Poof." Suddenly, the 2 character exploded and turned into dust. Good, very good, very good. How dare you? After the 2 exploded, a huge shadow appeared in midair. It said coldly to Ningyu, "Today I will make sure you have nowhere to go." Arrogant, Ningyu extended his right hand and gradually enlarged it. In the end, he slapped the shadow, shattering it. "Just you wait, I will kill you." The cold voice resounded in the area and then disappeared. Immediately after, many experts appeared on the 2nd level of the Myriad Bone Cave. These experts were all rank 4 supreme martial artists. Kill. Ningyu knew what his goal was. He raised the red demon sword and charged forward. With the sapling, Ningyu was naturally not afraid of the super strong Dan puppet in the Myriad Bone Cave. Or, in other words, the sapling knew that there were no super strong Dan puppets in the Myriad Bone Cave, which was why it sent him down. Otherwise, even the sapling would feel uneasy if the super strong Dan puppet targeted it. Uft. In the deepest part of the Myriad Bone Cave, Dan Hao spat out a mouthful of blood. What happened? Beside Dan Hao, Dan Kong asked hurriedly. Someone killed their way in. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Dan Hao said in a low voice, "What? Could it be an Earth Supreme?" Dan Kong was shocked. Currently, the Myriad Bone Cave was empty. The super strong had already left for the Thousand Leaf Empire. Even the other Dan puppet geniuses had left the Myriad Bone Cave. If an Earth Supreme came in now, it would be difficult for them to escape. It's not an Earth Supreme, but a rank 5 intermediate human supreme. Dan Hao said coldly he has already killed his way to the second level. Rank 5 Intermediate Human Supreme? How could he enter the Myriad Bone Cave? Chapter 1271. Chapter 1271. Activating the Forbidden Formation. There seems to be a problem with the Forbidden Formation. It hasn't been activated, Dan Hao said. Oh no. Suddenly, Dan Kong said hurriedly, Little 10 is on the first floor. Could it be? Dan Kong didn't finish a sentence, but he knew very well what was going on. Until now, the Little 10 they were talking about had not contacted them. The result was obvious. Crack! Thinking of this, Dan Kang's already cold face became even colder. Kill! Clenching his fists, Dan Kong said coldly, I'd like to see how capable he is to dare to trespass the Myriad Bone Cave. No rush. At this moment, Dan Hao calmed down. His eyes shot out a frightening light. Why? Dan Kong asked, confused. He didn't know what Dan Hao meant. One had to know that before the super-strong Dan puppet left the Myriad Bone Cave, he had seriously warned the top few geniuses to watch over the Myriad Bone Cave. However, the top few geniuses couldn't bear the loneliness and left one after another for the Thousand-Leaf Empire. In the end, only Dan Kong, Dan Hao, and the 10th rank Dan puppet were left in the Myriad Bone Cave. The heavy responsibility of guarding the Myriad Bone Cave naturally fell on Dan Kang's shoulders. One could imagine that if the Myriad Bone Cave was completely breached, he would be severely injured, even if he didn't die when the experts returned. The first and second floors' forbidden formations haven't been activated, but that doesn't mean the third floors won't be activated. Dan Hao said confidently, The third floor belongs to you, 8th brother. You can activate the forbidden formation now and trap that expert. All right. Dan Kang's eyes brightened. This was a good idea. If he activated the forbidden formation first, that intermediate grade 5 human supreme would not be able to retreat or enter. I'll activate the formation first. You quickly control the puppet. It has the battle power of an advanced grade 9 human supreme. Leaving these words, Dan Kong sat down cross-legged and waved his hands, starting to activate the forbidden formation of the third floor. It's Ningyu. Actually, when Ningyu just entered the Myriad Bone Cave, the Dark Sovereign already discovered Ningyu's aura. It was just that he did not dare to be certain. As Ningyu fought his way to the second level of the Myriad Bone Cave, the Dark Emperor finally confirmed that the newcomer was indeed Ningyu. I have to think of a way to warn Ningyu that he must be careful of the forbidden Grand Array. The Dark Emperor forced out a drop of essence, blood from his body, and carefully refined it, attempting to communicate with Ningyu. Pucci! However, just as the Dark Emperor refined the blood essence, he spat out a large mouthful of dark red blood. Indeed, it's related to you. If I've guessed correctly, that 5th grade middle phase human sovereign should be the Ningyu that you mentioned. Dan Kong suddenly stood up and stared the Dark Emperor. He said coldly, Do you think the cage of the Thousand Bone Cave is so easy to break? Truth be told, even an Earth sovereign wouldn't be able to send their perception out. As for you, just obediently stay here. We will capture Ningyu and reunite the two of you. Humph. The Dark Emperor coldly snorted and did not speak. The Dark Emperor knew that whatever he said right now was unnecessary. Since there was no point in talking, he might as well conserve his strength and wait for Ningyu to come over to deal with the two Danjongs. The Dark Emperor was confident in Ningyu. He knew that Ningyu had the World Tree sapling that could restrain Danjongs. Although the World Tree sapling often stood Ningyu up, at this crucial moment the World Tree sapling would definitely let bygones be bygones and deal with Danjongs. Furthermore, Danjongs were great nourishment for the World Tree sapling, so there was no reason for the World Tree sapling to not make a move. 8th brother, have you already activated the 3rd level's Grand Array? Dan Hao came before Dan Kong and asked. Nodding his head, Dan Kong said, The forbidden grand array has already been activated. No matter how talented he is, he will still be killed by the forbidden grand array. I've already gained complete control of this puppet. In my opinion, we should go up and take a look, just in case something happens. Dan Hao was a cautious person. Ha ha ha, what's there to worry about? Since you have this idea, let's go now. Laughing loudly, Dan Kong stomped his feet on the ground and walked straight out of the secret chamber. This was the Myriad Bone Cave's prison. There was a killing grand array laid down here. Even Dan Kong and Dan Jones, these two geniuses, did not dare to borrow the power of space to fight. Go. Sooner or later, we will all be killed by Ningyu. The Dark Emperor said viciously, wishing that he could immediately go up and finish off the two of them. Ningyu is a weird person with many secrets. Now that the Myriad Bone Cave was empty, the way the Dark Emperor saw it, Ningyu would very likely kill his way here. Buzz buzz! At the entrance of the Myriad Bone Cave's third level, Ningyu floated in midair. The red fiend's sword in his hand gave off a buzzing sound. Ningyu did not continue to attack. Instead, he stared at the transparent grand array in front of him. Just now, Ningyu had already communicated with the World Tree Sapling, wanting it to come forward and crack the forbidden grand array. But regrettably, the World Tree Sapling swallowed too much energy and just happened to fall into a deep slumber at this time. As for how long, the World Tree Sapling's answer was 3 minutes. Ningyu's face was full of speechlessness. 3 minutes. It was not that he could not afford to wait, but he was afraid that the Dark Emperor could not afford to wait. He could sense that the Dark Emperor was in the deepest parts of the Myriad Bone Cave. But no matter what, he had no way of contacting the Dark Emperor. Each time his perception passed through layers of obstacles and arrived in front of a secret room, it was as if he encountered something terrifying, causing his perception to be unable to advance in the slightest. Perception, soul force, Ningyu used them all. He just had no way of contacting the Dark Emperor. It bodes ill rather than well. Sucking in a deep breath, Ningyu muttered to himself. The current situation was very clear. As long as the World Tree Sapling woke up, he could kill his way to the 4th level. Now that there was a forbidden grand array, it was a little unrealistic for him to want to forcefully break it open. I can only wait. Sucking in a deep breath, Ningyu started to refine the enormous energy in his sea of consciousness. On the 2nd level of the Myriad Bone Cave, many Yuan Chidan puppets had been killed by him and the horned puppet. Although most of them had been devoured by the World Tree Sapling, the remaining energy still filled Ningyu's sea of consciousness to the brim. It was showing signs of a breakthrough. Could it be that I have accumulated enough? That I can break through to the later stages of the 5th level Supreme Martial Artist? Ningyu was a little suspicious. He sent a portion of his perception into his sea of consciousness and started to slowly inspect it. Hiss! Ningyu sucked in a breath of cold air when he saw the results of the inspection. The reason why Ningyu was surprised was not because someone had left a mark in his sea of consciousness, but because the energy in his sea of consciousness had reached a critical point. As long as he refined all the remaining energy, he could immediately advance to the later stages of the 5th level Supreme Martial Artist. Why not give it a try? Ningyu looked left and right, then sent a portion of his perception to search the surroundings. Finally, he found that the horned puppet was guarding the exit of the 3rd level. As for him, he began to devour the remaining energy in his sea of consciousness. Kacha! The spirit transformation technique quickly circulated, and Ningyu quickly and efficiently devoured all the energy in his sea of consciousness. Rumble! Chapter 1272. Kill. Dan Kong. Dan Hao. Dan Chi walked out of the formation. It was none other than Dan Kong and Dan Hao. How dare you? Dan Kong locked his eyes on Ningyu. Kneel down and kowtow to me a few times. Then let me devour you. Otherwise, I'll execute you on the spot. Break through. Ning Yu did not answer Dan Kang's question. Instead, he devoted himself to his cultivation. He was at the crucial moment of breaking through to late stage, 5th grade, Human Supreme. He could not be disturbed. Otherwise, all his previous efforts would be wasted. He would not be able to break through any time soon. You're courting death. Dan Kang's eyes turned cold when he saw that Ning Yu was ignoring him. He stomped on the ground and charged forward. Dan Kang's speed was very fast, so fast that it was terrifying. Almost instantly, Dan Kang arrived before Ning Yu. He raised his right fist and punched at Ning Yu's head. Brat, your stupidity will cause your bloodline to be uprooted, Dan Kang said darkly, as if he could see Ning Yu's brain being blown apart. Bang! Dan Kang's fist met with an obstruction. A puppet? At the crucial moment, the puppet blocked the punch for Ning Yu. Dan Kang was indeed the 8th-ranked genius of the Myriad Bone Cave. He was extraordinarily powerful. He forced the puppet back several meters with a single punch. The puppet was a late-stage, 9th-grade Human Supreme. From this, one could see how terrifying Dan Kang's strength was. Brother Ba, leave the puppet to me. Dan Hao stepped forward and controlled the Golden Leo to charge forward. Through the exchange just now, Dan Hao had already determined that the puppet had the combat power of a late-stage, 9th-grade Human Supreme. If Dan Kang fought it head-on, he might be in trouble. Rumble. The Golden Leo also had the combat power of a late-stage, 9th-grade Human Supreme. Neither side could do anything to the other. All right, Brother Ba, we'll work together to take down this puppet. We'll have another thing to rely on when we go to the Thousand-Leaf Empire. Dan Hao was overjoyed. The single-horned puppet's battle prowess was extraordinary. If he could take it, his and Dan Kang's battle prowess would not be any weaker than Dan Ming's, who was ranked 3rd in the Myriad Bone Cave. No problem. Dan Kang gave up on Ning Yu and turned to attack the horned puppet. Give me 2 more minutes. Ning Yu's heart was unperturbed. He was very calm. Right now, it was a crucial moment for him to break through to the late phase, 5th grade sovereign realm. He couldn't afford to think about those messy things. Otherwise, all his previous efforts might go to waste. Activating the spirit transformation art to the extreme. Terrifying energy moved around Ning Yu's body. At this time, Ning Yu was slowly floating in the air in a completely ethereal state. Fortunately, Dan Kang and Dan Hao were busy dealing with the horned puppet, wanting to subdue it. Otherwise, if one of them had the time to deal with Ning Yu would be dead for sure. The ethereal state was very rare, but its defense was almost 0. Ha ha ha. Time ticked by, and in the blink of an eye, 2 minutes had passed. Far away, Dan Kang grabbed the horned puppet's arm and laughed. The horned puppet is indeed extraordinary. Its battle strength should be slightly stronger than the Golden Leo. With it, my battle strength will at least double. Congratulations, 8th brother. Keeping the Golden Leo, Dan Hao said, as long as you remove the mark in the puppet's mind, you can control it. There's no rush. Let's deal with the troublesome Ning Yu first. Waving his hand, Dan Kang said, since he dared to come to our Myriad Bone Cave, he must have a lot of treasures on him. We got lucky. Is that so? At this moment, Ning Yu suddenly opened his eyes, and a terrifying aura soared into the sky. Ning Yu's eyes were bright, and he said in a low voice, "Let me give you a piece of advice. Return the horned puppet and the Golden Leo to me, or I'll let you know why flowers are red." Have you lost your mind? Although Ning Yu's aura was a little terrifying, Dan Kang did not take it to heart. No matter how strong your aura is, you're only a late 5th grade Supreme. Dan Kang was confident that he could kill a late 5th grade Supreme within 3 moves. Forget it. Against a foolish human like you, I'll just kill you and eat you. Glancing at Ning Yu with disdain, Dan Kong dashed out. Dan Kong was confident that he could kill Ningyu, so he did not let Dan Hao and the Golden Leo follow. Ningyu, I'll let you know that the Myriad Bone Cave is not that easy to barge into. Dan Kong said coldly, the reason why you could pass the first 2 levels was because Old 10 and Little 9 were not there. Now that I'm in charge of the 3rd level, I'll definitely kill you. Take my punch. Dan Kang's body glowed brightly, and his right fist contained a terrifying aura as it punched towards Ningyu's head. So what if I take your punch? The corners of Ning Yu's mouth curled up. He wrapped his Yuan Qi around his fist and threw a punch. Bang! The 2 fists collided with a loud bang. With the point of collision as the center, a terrifying shockwave spread out in all directions. Oh no! The shockwave was so terrifying that even Dan Hao was a little shocked, and he quickly retreated into the forbidden formation. At the same time, Dan Hao shouted, 8th brother, retreat! Retreat? Can he even leave? The life-threatening voice sounded again. Ningyu walked in the air, waving his fists continuously. Bang, bang, bang. Every time Ningyu threw a punch, there would be a crisp sound. Go to hell. After slapping Dan Kong dozens of times, Ningyu finally retracted his palm. The reason why Ningyu retracted his palm was not because he wanted to let Dan Kong go, but because he wanted to kill Dan Kong. 10,000 holy flag. 10,000 beast flame. With a flick of his finger, a flag and a ball of flame flew out. Oh no! The flag and the flame gradually expanded in Dan Kang's eyes and finally crashed into his head. The flame of 10,000 beasts corroded Dan Kang's consciousness, and the 10,000 holy flag prevented Dan Kong from escaping. Although Dan Kong was a Yuan Qi pill puppet, Ningyu was still worried, afraid that he was a combination of Yuan Qi pill puppet and soul pill puppet. The result proved that Ningyu was overthinking. The flame of 10,000 beasts ignited Dan Kang's consciousness, and his entire body exploded. Ning, you did not intend to refine Dan Kang's Yuan Qi pill puppet. His plan was simple. He would first capture the other pill puppet and force out the Dark Emperor's whereabouts. This was the most important matter, and he could not afford to make any mistakes. You killed 8th brother. Dan Hao had already retreated into the forbidden formation. He pointed at Ningyu with his right hand and said in shock, You are not a mid-stage 5th grade supreme martial artist. Which old monster are you? Why must you become enemies with the Myriad Bone Cave? Dan Hao did not believe that Ningyu was a mid-stage 5th grade supreme martial artist. No, he did not believe that Ningyu was a late-stage 5th grade supreme martial artist. How could a late-stage 5th grade supreme martial artist be so strong, killing Dan Kong in the first exchange? Although Dan Hao was strong, he was only slightly stronger than Dan Kong. Chapter 1273. Chapter 1273. Chapter 1273 to feign civility, 8th brother? What a strange name. Shrugging, Ningyu said, I'll give you a chance to live. Give me back Gene 2 and the single-horn puppet, and I'll spare your life. I, Ningyu, am a man of my word. As long as you listen to me, I promise I won't kill you. Dan Hao's face darkened when he heard Ningyu's words. Dan Hao was pondering how he could defeat Ningyu, or even kill Ningyu. It was impossible to fight him head-on. He could only lure Ningyu into the forbidden Grand Array and then use the Golden Banshee to kill him. Although they had worked together to erase the mark in the single-horned puppet's mind, he hadn't left a mark on it, so he couldn't control it for the time being. Damn it! If I could control the single-horned puppet, I wouldn't be afraid of you. Dan Hao said viciously. Both the horned puppet and the Golden Leo possessed the battle prowess of a late-stage 9th grade sovereign. Dan Hao believed that if the two of them attacked together, Ningyu would definitely not be able to resist. However, given the current situation, Dan Hao could only first stabilize Ningyu and think of a way to trick Ningyu into the grand taboo array. Ningyu, it's not impossible for me to listen to you. Let's talk inside. After leaving behind these words, Dan Hao turned around and left, retreating to the third level of the Myriad Bone Cave. Dan Kong had already activated the forbidden formation of the third layer of the Myriad Bone Cave. Furthermore, he had activated the strongest forbidden formation. Dan Hao didn't believe that Ning Yu could contend with him in such a terrifying grand taboo formation. As long as you come in, I will definitely kill you. Dan Hao entered the depths of the third floor without looking back. A cold expression appeared on his face. As you wish. Ning Yu was very clear about the formidability of the forbidden array, so he did not act rashly. Instead, he paused on the spot for another 30 seconds before striding into the forbidden array. With the sapling around, these taboo grand arrays wouldn't be able to affect Ning Yu. Rumble. Ning Yu had just stepped into the forbidden grand array when the weather suddenly changed. Strong winds blew all around, sending sand and pebbles flying. Ha ha ha! Following that, a loud laugh came from the depths of the forbidden array. I knew it would be you. Ningyu narrowed his eyes and said, Do you really think this formation can trap me? Of course. After laughing, Dan Hao said, There are many forbidden formations in the Myriad Bone Cave. These formations have fatal restraining effects on humans. As long as you are a human, your battle prowess will drop by 90% in the promotion formations. As for me, my battle prowess will increase by 90%. How can you possibly be a match for me? Ha ha ha. Dan Hao laughed heartily again, as if he had everything planned out in the bag. Do you really think you can defeat me? Ning Yu did not expose the sapling immediately. He looked around and said, If you come to your senses now, I can let bygones be bygones and spare your life. You're still so stubborn even at death's door. In terms of bragging, I admire you the most, Dan Hao said disdainfully. Then, Dan Hao controlled the Golden Two and charged at Ningyu. I'll teach you a lesson first. Whoosh! The Golden Two was already under Dan Hao's control and completely obeyed his orders. Dan Hao's mission was to teach Ningyu a lesson, but not to kill him. The Golden Two did as he was told and began fighting fiercely with Ningyu. Bang! With just one move, Ningyu was sent flying and slammed heavily into the barrier of the Forbidden Formation. The Forbidden Formation is indeed powerful. It suppressed my strength to only 10%. Ningyu was shocked. The Forbidden Formation was indeed powerful. Inside, his strength was greatly suppressed, and he could only use 10% of his peak battle prowess. On the other hand, Dan Hao's aura was extremely terrifying. Sapling, hurry and break this forbidden formation. Ning Yu did not want to be attacked by the Golden Two again. He hurriedly communicated with the sapling and told it to break the formation. No problem. The sapling's voice sounded in Ning Yu's mind. Kacha! An extremely clear sound rang out. The barrier around the forbidden formation gradually cracked, and the cracks grew larger and larger. Finally, the entire forbidden formation completely disappeared. What? Dan Hao was originally very excited when he saw Ning Yu being forced back by the Golden Tuesday, but the situation of the forbidden formation made his heart sink to the bottom. This is impossible. How could you break the forbidden formation? Dan Hao shouted crazily. He did not dare to believe what had happened in front of him. Nothing is impossible. At this moment, Ning Yu quietly appeared in front of Dan Hao. He stretched out his right hand and grabbed Dan Hao's neck. Don't move. If you dare to move, I'll break your neck. What do you want? Dan Hao quickly calmed down and did not panic because he was in Ning Yu's hands. Very good. Let me ask you, where is the Dark Emperor? Ning Yu asked. Who is the Dark Emperor? Could it be the purple gold, sky-devouring dog? He's trapped in the deepest part of the Myriad Bone Cave. If you want to see him, I can bring you there. Dan Hao hurriedly said. I will naturally go there. But before I go, I need to take back my 2 puppets. Ning Yu exerted some force with his wrist and separated a bit of his soul force into the puppet's mind. At the same time, Ning Yu separated another bit of his soul force into Jin Tu's mind. There was no other person's imprint in the puppet's mind. Ning, you only spent a few seconds to regain control of it. As for Jin Tu, he brought a lot of trouble to Ning Yu. Behave yourself. Ning Yu released all his aura and pressed down on Dan Hao, warning him not to play any tricks. Ning Yu's action was very effective. Dan Hao became obedient, and Ning Yu naturally erased Dan Hao's imprint in Jin Tu's mind and left his own. After a few minutes, Ning Yu regained control of Jin Tu and the puppet. Take me to the Dark Emperor. To prevent Dan Hao from playing any tricks, Ning Yu sealed Dan Hao's cultivation. At the same time, he left a bit of soul force in Dan Hao's mind when he wasn't paying attention. Although the World Tree sapling said that there was no powerful Dan Hao in the Myriad Bone Cave, Ning Yu was still not at ease. 1 corpse puppet was far from enough. Ning Yu's goal was to save the Dark Emperor and squeeze the Myriad Bone Cave dry. He naturally needed a second trump card. Don't think I don't know you're pretending. Ning, you could basically guess what Dan Hao was thinking. A peerless genius like him would not be so obedient. There must be something wrong when something was out of the ordinary. This meant that Dan Hao had some kind of plan, or was digging a trap for Ning Yu and waiting for Ning Yu to jump in. However, Ning Yu wasn't too worried, since the sapling of the World Tree had a fatal restraining effect on Dan Qi unless a pinnacle 9th grade sovereign or an Earth sovereign realm Dan Qi appeared. It would be extremely difficult to kill him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Dan Hao brought Ning Yu through the first few levels of the Myriad Bone Cave and quickly arrived at the deepest secret room. The Dark Emperor you speak of is imprisoned in this secret room. Chapter 1274. Chapter 1274. Chapter 1274. Key. Open the secret room. Ning Yu said expressionlessly, I can't open the door. Shaking his head, as if feeling that he had not explained himself clearly, he continued, My cultivation has been sealed by you, so there's no way for me to open the door to the secret chamber. Bang! Ning Yu's face turned cold. He raised his right foot and kicked Dan Hao, sending him flying far away. You have no choice. Ning Yu's aura locked onto Dan Hao. Open the door or die. All right, I'll open the door. Even though he was furious, Dan Hao didn't dare show it. He took out a golden spoon and inserted it into the keyhole on the door. Creak! The heavy door of the secret chamber slowly opened. Dan Hao was closer to the door than Ning Yu. The moment the door opened, he ran into the secret room. You want to leave? Ning Yu's eyes and hands were sharp. He stepped on the ground and quickly chased after them. Bang! With his cultivation sealed, Dan Hao's speed was greatly reduced. It only took Ning Yu a second to catch up to him. He grabbed the horned puppet and smashed it at Dan Hao. Little bastard, you will die a horrible death. Stop smashing. I admit defeat. I surrender. I'll release the Dark Emperor and tell you where the Myriad Bone Cave's treasures are. In order to make Ning Yu stop, Dan Hao would say anything. Where is the Dark Emperor? Ning Yu only stopped when his arm was slightly swollen. He tossed the horned puppet aside and said, This is your last chance. Why aren't you playing by the rules? Dan Hao was furious. The reason why he opened the door and ran was because he wanted Ning Yu to use his vital qi to deal with him. The order in this place wasn't particularly stable, so they couldn't use any powerful energy. Originally, Dan Hao wanted Ning Yu to use his powerful energy to kill him. This way, this place would crowd out Ning Yu, and he would kill Ning Yu on the spot. In the past, many powerhouses had struggled free from the chains on their bodies and used powerful energy to escape. However, without exception, all of them had been killed. Clearly, Dan Hao's plan had failed because Ningyu had simply used his physical strength to control the horned puppet to smash him. The Dark Emperor is in the innermost secret chamber. Dan Hao became more obedient, he said. Lead the way. This was Ningyu's first time here, so he didn't know much about this place. He decided to let Dan Hao lead the way. In any case, Dan Hao's cultivation was sealed, and he had the sapling in his hands. He was confident in dealing with unknown dangers. The deeper he went, the more shocked Ningyu became. There were many cages on both sides of the passageway, and each cage held an expert. Even the weakest among them was at the Supreme Being realm. Moreover, the deeper he went, the higher the cultivation of the experts imprisoned in the cages. Save me! Save me! Suddenly, an extremely soft voice entered Ningyu's ears. Hearing this, Ningyu stopped and looked in the direction of the voice. There was a cage in the corner. It was pitch black, and the voice came from there. From the voice, Ningyu could tell that the being in the cage was extremely weak and could die at any moment. Who is imprisoned in that cage? Ningyu said in a low voice. That cage? Dan Hao was startled at first, then said, I don't know the details. Ever since I entered the Myriad Bone Cave, he has been imprisoned in that cage. And until now, not many people in the Myriad Bone Cave have seen his true appearance. Crack! Ningyu kicked Dan Hao's knee, breaking several of his kneecaps. He said, Tell me the truth. Ah, with his kneecaps broken, Dan Hao let out a hysterical howl. Enduring the pain, Dan Hao said, I really don't know who is imprisoned in there, but I heard the forefather mention him. Dan Hao originally wanted to be stubborn, but when he saw Ningyu raise his right foot, he instantly changed his mind. The forefather said that he is a fierce person who once killed tens of thousands of pill puppets with his own strength. There was no lack of peak 9th grade human supremes among them. He even killed a few Earth Supremes. What? He killed even Earth Supremes? Ningyu said in shock. An expert who could kill Earth Supremes? Didn't that mean that his cultivation had reached the Earth Supremes level? His cultivation is not Earth Supremes. As if guessing Ningyu's thoughts, Dan Hao said, According to the rumors, he was only an early 9th grade human Supremes when he killed Earth Supremes Dan Qi. He had something on him that had a fatal restraining effect on Dan Qi. Unfortunately, that battle was too brutal. Although he escaped, his memory was damaged, and that thing was lost. Rescue him. The thing that he lost is a branch of the World Tree. Right at that moment, the World Tree sapling's voice sounded in Ningyu's ears. The sapling's words made Ningyu's heart beat faster. The World Tree. This was the second time Ningyu had heard about the World Tree after obtaining it. Are you sure? Ningyu secretly transmitted his voice to the sapling. I'm sure. As long as you can help me get that branch, I can guarantee your smooth escape from the Myriad Bone Cave, the sapling said. What the hell? Ningyu jumped up. So, you were the one who led me here? You knew there was news about the World Tree here? I didn't lead you here. You were the one who wanted to save the Dark Emperor, the sapling said. Also, I didn't know that this place was dangerous, nor did I know there was news about the World Tree here. Right? You said you can guarantee my smooth escape from the Myriad Bone Cave. What do you mean? Is there a powerful Dan Qi in the Myriad Bone Cave? Ningyu asked doubtfully. Dan Qi's clone. The sapling explained. Although I can kill it, I can't attack it. You should know the consequences if I'm exposed. Tell me honestly, how powerful is your battle strength? Ningyu asked after a moment of silence. I know what you're thinking. Anyway, if you save the person in the cage, I will guarantee your smooth escape from the Myriad Bone Cave. I will also help you unconditionally once in the future. The World Tree said, as if it could read Ningyu's mind. Deal. Ningyu was not an unreasonable person. He agreed to the sapling. Ever since the sapling could speak, it gave Ningyu a terrifying feeling. Ningyu also had another concern. He was afraid that the sapling would suddenly attack him. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu said to Dan Hao, "Open that cage and let him out." Since the sapling could save the person in the cage, it meant that it had a way to suppress it. "I really can't do that," Dan Hao said with a sad face. "The key to this cage is in the forefather's hands. In this vast myriad bone cave, only the forefather can open this cage." "Save me, clone," the illusory voice came from the cage again. Chapter 1275. Chapter 1275. Chapter 1275 Attack. Clone. Key. Save me. The voice became clearer and clearer. In the end, even Dan Hao and the other martial artists in the cages could hear it. However, when the other martial artists in the cages heard the voice, they all cowered to the side, not even daring to breathe loudly. "Humph! Blood Demon Sovereign, if you don't tell me where that thing is, don't even think about leaving the 1,000-bone cave." At this moment, a cold snort sounded. Buzz! Then the void cracked, and an old man in gray robes walked out of the void. The elder's speed seemed slow, but it was not. The elder arrived in front of the cage in an instant. He suddenly punched with his right hand, and a terrifying fist aura flew out, hitting the cage. Pucci! The elder's attack was extremely powerful, directly causing the martial artists in the cage to vomit blood. "Ancestor, save me!" Seeing the elder, Dan Hao could not help but cry out. "Behave yourself." Ning, you kicked Dan Hao, causing him to fall to the ground. "You." Dan Hao trembled in anger. He wanted to stand up, but his legs were trembling, and he could not stand. "Very good. You even dare to bully people from the 1,000-bone cave. Kid, I want to see what you can rely on." The elder did not immediately go to save Dan Hao, but said in a low voice. The gray-clothed old man was also afraid of Ningyu. He could feel an extremely terrifying aura from Ningyu. This aura made his heart tremble, and he did not dare to act recklessly. Before he understood the situation, he would not act rashly because the Blood Demon Sovereign was the most important. Compared to the Blood Demon Sovereign, Dan Hao could be abandoned. "Sapling, is this elder a clone?" Ning Yu did not have time to answer the elder. At this moment, he was communicating with the sapling. "Yes, this is a clone, but it is very powerful. Do not underestimate it," the sapling said in a serious tone. "How confident are you that you can defeat him?" Ning Yu knew the severity of the problem. "I am not confident," the sapling said. "Oh my God!" Ning Yu was shocked. In the end, the sapling didn't have the confidence to defeat the gray-robed old man. According to his observations, although the gray-robed elder was only a clone, he could unleash the battle prowess of a pinnacle 9th-grade human sovereign. With his strength, not to mention dealing with the gray-robed elder, it would be difficult for him to even block a single move. After all, a peak 9th-grade human supreme was far stronger than a late 9th-grade human supreme. Jean N and the single-horn puppet should be able to hold him off for a minute. I must use this minute to find the Dark Emperor and quickly leave with him. Ning Yu rolled his eyes as he thought of a countermeasure. He couldn't rely on the sapling anymore. Since that was the case, he had to find an opportunity to slip away. "Although I don't have the confidence to beat him, you do." The sapling's words rang in Ning Yu's ears again. Hearing that, Ning Yu was slightly stunned. He did not know what the sapling was trying to do. "Speak clearly." Ning Yu's face was filled with black lines. He had been worried for nothing. "This is only the elder's clone, so I cannot expose myself. Otherwise, even you will be killed." The sapling explained, "I will enter the Red Demon's sword. When the time comes, you will use the Red Demon's sword to fight against the gray-robed elder. I will secretly help you." Swoosh! Without waiting for Ning Yu's reply, the sapling turned into a shadow and quietly entered the Red Demon's sword. "Damn it, You want me to fight against a pinnacle ninth grade human supreme? Ningyu was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He was only a late fifth grade human supreme. Even if the sapling entered the red demon sword, it would be difficult for it to be a match for a pinnacle ninth grade human supreme. Kiki, kid die. The gray-robed elder seemed to have understood and charged out with a roar. Damn it. Ning Yu's original intention was to first think of a way to save the Dark Emperor and then escape. He did not want to fight against the gray-robed elder. However, the current situation did not allow him to think too much. He could only bite the bullet and fight the gray-robed elder. Get up. Since he had decided to make a move, Ning Yu quickly calmed down. He kicked Dan Hao's head, knocking him out cold. Grabbing Dan Hao's arm with his right hand, Ning Yu exerted a bit of force and swung him toward the gray-robed elder. Old fart, let's see what you can do. With Dan Hao in hand, the world was mine. Ning Yu did not believe that the gray-robed elder would abandon a peerless genius like Dan Hao. You're courting death. The result was beyond Ning Yu's expectations. The gray-robed elder's punch landed squarely on Dan Hao's head. Rumble. Dan Hao is only a mid-stage, fifth-grade human supreme. Moreover, he had already been knocked out by Ning Yu's kick. How could he block the gray-robed elder's attack? The gray-robed elder's punch directly exploded Dan Hao's head. Brutal indeed. Casually tossing Dan Hao aside, Ning Yu leaped back to the front of the cage. The gray-robed elder could even bear to kill Dan Hao, let alone him. Hey, you asked me to save you. Hurry up and tell me how to deal with this old man. Ning Yu hurriedly yelled at the cage. Unless you have the Tree of World on you, there's no way you can deal with this old man. Sigh, it's all my fault. I should have known that this old man would leave a doppelganger behind. I was too careless. A sigh came from the cage, seemingly filled with regret. What's the use of thinking about this now? I don't believe that I can't hurt you without the Tree of World. Ning Yu pretended to be furious. Immediately he took out the red demon's sword and slashed out a sword gleam at the gray-robed elder. Child's play. Looking at the sword gleams that kept coming at him, the gray-robed elder's lips curled up. He did not think much of the sword gleams. He casually flicked his sleeves, and a cold gleam flew out as well. Pist-pist. The cold gleam and the sword gleam collided and quickly dissipated. Kid, let me see what secrets you have on you. Oh no. After dispersing the cold gleam, the gray-robed elder reached out with his right hand and grabbed forward. The gray-robed elder's arm grew longer and longer. Finally, he opened his palm and grabbed at Ning Yu. However, the gray-robed elder's arm had just grown several meters long when his expression changed drastically. He hurriedly tried to retract his arm. Clearly, the gray-robed elder's speed was half a beat slower. The sword gleam that Ning Yu slashed out did not completely dissipate. There was still a palm-sized sword gleam hidden in the void. Kacha! When the gray-robed elder's palm arrived, the sword gleam suddenly shot out and quickly slashed at the gray-robed elder's arm. A crisp sound rang out, and the result shocked Ning Yu. The gray-robed elder's arm was chopped off by the palm-sized sword gleam. Pist-pist, pist-pist. The arm fell to the ground and instantly disappeared. Ah! With his arm chopped off, the gray-robed elder was like a ferocious beast as he raised his head and roared. You've completely infuriated me. After roaring, the gray-robed elder's eyes locked onto Ning Yu. His cold voice rang out in the area. After so many years, you're the first human to infuriate me. In order to reward you, I've decided to eat you. Gulp. Not only was the gray-robed elder shocked, but even Ning Yu himself was so shocked that he could not speak. He could only swallow a mouthful of saliva. The sapling was so powerful, just a single sword gleam had chopped off the gray-robed elder's arm. Chapter 1276. Both sides suffer at the thought of this. Ningyu was not worried by the roar of the gray-robed elder. Instead, he stared at the red demon's sword with a fiery gaze. Although the gray-robed elder was a doppelganger, he was a peak 9th grade human supreme. Once he could completely devour and refine it, Ningyu could even advance further and advance to a peak 5th grade human supreme. Yuan Qi Dan Ho was very different from humans. They were formed from Yuan Qi, and the Yuan Qi in their bodies was extremely pure. For warriors, it was like a miraculous elixir. It could be said that Ningyu devouring 10 peak 9th grade human supreme was not as good as devouring a Dan Ho of the same cultivation level. So strong! We can leave now, even if I have to give up all the treasures. I want to leave this damned myriad bone cave. That's right. We've been trapped in the myriad bone cave for decades, and some have even been trapped here for hundreds of years. This is the best chance. We must kill this doppelganger of Supreme Bone. Seeing Ningyu chop off Supreme Bone's arm, the warriors trapped in the cages began to think. Some of them had been trapped here for a year, while others had been trapped here for more than a decade. There were even 2 peak 9th grade human supreme who had been trapped here for hundreds of years. With Ningyu's strength, they might be able to fish in troubled waters and successfully escape. As the saying went, as long as there was hope, humans could always burst forth with astonishing potential. Let's use all our strength to attack the chains on our bodies and lend our friend a hand. Yes. The chains on our bodies were created by Supreme Bone's great magical powers. As long as we use all our strength to attack the chains, Supreme Bone will definitely be affected. That's right. Although it's difficult to break the chains, we can create trouble for Supreme Bone and reduce the strength of his doppelganger. The help of the warriors in the cages was beyond Ningyu's expectations. It seemed that their edges had not been sharpened, and there was still hope in the depths of their hearts. The cultivators in the cages charged at the chains, and very soon they saw results. Supreme Bone's doppelganger spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale. Good, very good. You have completely angered me. Today all of you must die. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Supreme Bone's cold eyes swept across the crowd and finally landed on Ningyu. Brat, you're the most arrogant one. I'll start with you. Old fart, you're already at death's door. Yet you still want to attack me. Ningyu said confidently, Let me give you a piece of advice. Hurry up and scram. If you don't leave now, you should know the consequences. Ha ha ha. Venerable Bone roared with laughter as he coldly said, I, Venerable Bone, have roamed the continent for 100 years. Although I'm injured, it's still easy for me to kill a mere late phase, 5th grade sovereign like you. As soon as the word yes was uttered, Guzi moved. I'll slash. Although Ningyu looked down on Supreme Bone verbally, he did not let his guard down. As soon as Supreme Bone made his move, he waved the red demon's sword and slashed out another sword radiance. Break. Facing this sword radiance, Supreme Bone did not dare to be negligent as he flicked his wrist repeatedly. In an instant, dozens of cold radiance flew out. Holy shit! Seeing Supreme Bone shooting out dozens of cold radiance in an instant, Ningyu's face drastically changed. No matter how powerful the sword radiance he had slashed out was, even with the help of the sapling, it would still be hard to resist against so many cold radiances. I've miscalculated. Ningyu felt a little regretful. Originally, seeing how powerful the cold radiance thrown out by Supreme Bone was, Ningyu thought that he could only throw out 2 to 3 of them. The sapling could still resist 2 to 3 cold radiance. Dozens of cold radiance. This was an extremely terrifying number that even the sapling found it difficult to deal with. Avoid the sharp edge. Knowing that he couldn't disperse the dozens of cold radiance, Ningyu decided to avoid the sharp edge and quickly retreated. The direction that Ningyu retreated towards was the deepest part of the secret chamber where the Dark Emperor was. You guys block for me for a while." In the process of escaping, Ning Yu did not forget to bring out the golden Leo and the one-horned puppet, hoping that they could buy him enough time. Crack! Crack! The result made Ning Yu dumbfounded. The golden Leo and the one-horned puppet, the two puppets with the strength of a ninth-grade supreme martial artist, could not even resist for a second before they completely fell apart. However, it was worth it for them to fall apart. In order to disperse the golden Leo and the one-horned puppet, Supreme Bone had consumed a total of 30 to 40 cold radiants. In other words, there were less than 10 cold radiants left by Supreme Bone. What the hell are you running for? Kill! The sacrifice of the golden Leo and the one-horned puppet shocked Ning Yu. However, Ning Yu was very smart. He instantly decided not to run away, but waved the red demon's sword backhandedly, and several sword radiants flew out. Crack, crack, crack! Ning Yu slashed out a total of more than 10 sword radiants. 10 of the sword radiants contained the powerful attack of the sapling, while the remaining sword radiance was just to distract Supreme Bone. Uft! This time, Supreme Bone was careless and fell into Ning Yu's trap. More than half of the cold radiance brought by Supreme Bone was lost in an instant, and the remaining cold radiance was also blasted away. Ah, why is it coming this way? Run, 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 run. A few of the cold radiants blasted on the remaining cages, killing the martial artists in them. In an instant, the entire secret chamber became quiet. The martial artists who were clamoring to leave the secret chamber stopped shouting and obediently rolled to the corner and squatted down, for fear of being reprimanded by Supreme Bone. If I'm not wrong, there should be a treasure in that flying sword of yours. Give it to me, and I can imprison you here without killing you. Supreme Bone said in a deep voice. Have you lost your mind? Ning Yu said. Your cold radiance has been completely used up, and I still have the red demon's sword in my hand. If you're not satisfied, you can come and kill me. With the red demon's sword in hand, Ning Yu looked like he was about to compete with Supreme Bone. In fact, Ning Yu was betting that Supreme Bone would not dare to act rashly. This was because just now, the sapling had told Ning Yu, through telepathy, that it needed some time to recuperate. During this period of time, it might not be able to help Ning Yu, so it asked Ning Yu to hold on until it regained consciousness. Do you really think I dare not kill you? Supreme Bone took a step forward, and a terrifying aura burst out of his body, pressing down on Ning Yu in a frenzy. Crack, crack! Under the pressure of Supreme Bone's powerful aura, Ning Yu found it a little difficult to breathe. However, Ning Yu knew very well that he had to pretend as if nothing had happened. Otherwise, if Supreme Bone found out, it would be difficult for him to escape death today. Ha ha ha! With a wild laugh, Ning Yu said, Supreme Bone, I'm standing right here. Come and take my life if you can. Is he injured too? Supreme Bone withdrew his aura, feeling a little puzzled. In order to display so many cold radiances, Supreme Bone had sucked away all the Yuan Qi contained in this doppelganger. He could not act rashly for the time being. Kid, I won't take your life. I want you to kill each other. Suddenly, Supreme Bone seemed to have thought of something, and a cold radiance shot out from his eyes. Rumble. Chapter 1277. Chapter 1277. Battle Tyrant Rise. Supreme Bone yelled as the cold light exploded. Rumble. As Supreme Bone's voice faded, a huge altar appeared above the secret chamber. The void trembled as the altar appeared. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. For huge pillars of light shot out from the altar and surrounded the entire secret room. Sealing formation. It's the sealing formation. Does Supreme Bone want to kill us all? We're doomed. I thought today was the best time to leave. Who would have thought that we would become food in someone else's mouth? Everyone was terrified. The so-called sealing formation was used to seal off the entire area. It was the same as a normal seal. A normal seal would only seal off the area, preventing one from contacting the outside world. However, the sealing formation could not only seal off the area, it could also isolate yuan qi. In other words, one could not use yuan qi within the sealing formation. Otherwise, one would be killed by the formation. Whoever kills him, I will let them leave the myriad bone cave. Supreme Bone's gaze swept across the crowd. Then he pointed at Ningyu and said coldly, "You only have one chance. If you miss it, you won't get another chance." Rumble. Supreme Bone's words shook the hearts of many martial artists. They could leave the myriad bone cave as long as they killed Ningyu? This news was too shocking. The extinguished flame in their hearts was reignited. "You want to kill me?" Ningyu's gaze was sharp as it swept across the crowd of martial artists. Being stared at by Ningyu, the crowd looked away, not daring to look at him directly. Ningyu's powerful strength made their hearts tremble. Even Supreme Bone did not dare to do it himself. It was enough to show that Ningyu was too powerful, so powerful that Supreme Bone needed their help. "Kill! Supreme Bone, open the chains for me!" Suddenly, a 7th grade supreme martial artist yelled. "Okay." A smear of cold light shot out from the eyes of the venerable Bone as he swiftly clashed against the chains around the 7th grade mortal sovereign. Crack! The chains broke, and the 7th grade supreme martial artist escaped from the cage. Sorry for the offense. After breaking free from the cage, the 7th grade sovereign cupped his fists towards Ningyu and charged out like a cheetah towards Ningyu. There's nothing to offend. Shrugging, Ningyu clenched his right fist and punched out. Bang! The next moment, everyone cried out in alarm. Ningyu's fist collided with the 7th grade human sovereign's fist and sent him flying. Pucci! Spurting out fresh blood, the aura of the 7th grade human sovereign dropped rapidly. In a short period of time, it had already dropped to the freezing point. The whole area became quiet. The fact that Ningyu was able to finish off a 7th grade human sovereign with a single punch had truly shocked them. From the looks of it, this 7th grade human supreme realm cultivator wouldn't be able to survive. Ningyu would never show mercy to his enemies. If he could kill them on the spot, he definitely wouldn't wait until later, unless he had a use for them. As for this 7th grade human supreme realm cultivator, it was obvious that there was no use for him to stay. Therefore, Ningyu killed him with a single punch. He's not simple. His physical strength is so strong. That's right. This place is sealed by a sealing formation. He can't easily use his yuan qi, so he can only use his physical strength to fight. According to my observation, the toughness of his body is comparable to an 8th grade human supreme realm. Whoosh! The last warrior's words shocked everyone. A 5th grade advanced stage human supreme realm actually possessed the physical strength of an 8th grade human supreme realm. Look! All of a sudden, a martial artist yelled. Hearing his words, everyone turned their gazes over and looked at the 7th grade sovereign on the ground. Whoosh! A flag quickly flew out and, under the horrified gaze of the 7th grade human supreme realm, drilled into the center of his brows. Not long after, the 7th grade human supreme realm's body shriveled up and turned into a pile of dust. Gulp! This change made everyone's jaws drop as they gulped down a mouthful of saliva. Come back. Ningyu flicked his wrist and recalled the 10,000 ghosts sacred flag. Since this 7th grade human supreme realm wanted to kill him, then he should be prepared to be killed. Although he couldn't use his yuan qi, that didn't mean that Ningyu couldn't use the 10,000 ghosts sacred flag. Who else? Ningyu held the red demon sword in his left hand and the 10,000 ghosts sacred flag in his right as he proudly said, "I don't mind turning you guys into ghosts." The martial artists in the cages all lowered their heads. The strength that Ningyu had just displayed made their hearts tremble. Even the few 8th grade human sovereigns did not dare to act recklessly. Damn it! Seeing that no one was willing to make a move, Venerable Bone cursed inwardly and clenched his teeth. I can provide convenience to anyone who is willing to make a move. Venerable Bone's voice was powerful and captivating. Some of the warriors below the 7th grade human sovereign realm were affected and looked like they were about to make a move. Who else? Ningyu slowly said. Initially, those warriors wanted to make a move, but when they thought of Ningyu's strength, they came to their senses. This is a sealing array. I can open a back door for you guys so that you won't be affected by the array. Supreme Bone said in a low voice, unwilling to give up unless his words were shocking. Supreme Bone's words stirred the minds of the crowd again. If they could use their Yuan Qi, and Ningyu couldn't, then it would be clear who would win. I'll do it. With a great reward, there would always be someone brave. A pinnacle 8th grade, human sovereign said. Break. Venerable Bone flicked his finger, and a cold light flew out, unlocking the chains on the pinnacle 8th grade, human sovereign. Buzz. The moment the chains on the pinnacle 8th grade human sovereign were unlocked, vigorous Yuan Qi gushed out from his body. Ha ha ha! I, Zhanba, have been trapped in the myriad bone cave for so long. I never thought that there would be a day where I could escape. Raising his head and laughing, Zhanba roared, Fight, fight, fight! Fight with everything! Kill him, and I'll let you leave the myriad bone cave. Venerable Bone pointed at Ningyu. Okay. Zhanba stomped on the ground and charged at Ningyu in an instant. Facing the charging Zhanba, Ningyu didn't resist. Instead, he slowly closed his eyes. Damn, I should have made a move, but Zhanba beat me to it. That's right. You can use your essence here. Any grade 1 human sovereign would be able to kill Ningyu. Sigh. Looks like we're going to be trapped here in darkness again. In everyone's eyes, Ningyu was waiting for his death. Zhanba regained his usual vigor. His fighting spirit soared, and his Yuan Qi was vigorous. It was said that Zhanba was captured here because he fought 5 late-stage 9th grade human sovereigns alone and killed them all. In the end, the Myriad Bone Cave sent 3 pinnacle 9th grade human sovereigns to encircle and capture him. Now that Zhanba had recovered to his peak, Ningyu would definitely die. Kill. Zhanba pointed with his finger. In an instant, the weather changed and the entire secret chamber turned dark. However, just when everyone thought that Ningyu would definitely die, something unexpected happened. Zhanba suddenly turned around and charged at Venerable Bone at a terrifying speed. Chapter 1278. Attack! What? Zhanba is going to attack Supreme Bone. Has Zhanba gone mad? This is the interior of the sealing array. Supreme Bone can deprive him of his control over Yuan Qi at any time. We'd better behave. Zhanba has gone mad. We can't be implicated. Seeing that Zhanba had turned around and charged at Supreme Bone, the warriors in the surrounding cages changed their expressions. They did not want to get involved. However, in the 2 deepest cages, the supreme martial artist's cloudy eyes suddenly opened. There seemed to be a flash of light in them. However, this flash of light was fleeting and no one noticed it. Zhanba, how dare you betray us? Supreme Bone stood up from the ground with a swoosh, 2 rays of cold light shooting out from his eyes. The cold light was fast and headed straight for Zhanba. Small trick. Zhanba's lips curled up as he said arrogantly. Although that was what Zhanba said, his heart was very solemn. This might be the only chance to kill Supreme Bone. If he missed this opportunity, there would be no more. Since Supreme Bone dared to give up the sealing array's control over him, it meant that he had the confidence to subdue him. He could only take a risk and sneak attack on Supreme Bone. If he succeeded, he would escape the Myriad Bone Cave. If he failed, he would die. Therefore, in order to kill Supreme Bone with one blow, Zhanba wrapped all the Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness around his wrist and punched at the two rays of cold light. Crack! Crack! In a split second, the cold light and Zhanba's fist collided. As expected, the cold light was blown away and Zhanba stopped where he was. So you're prepared. Zhanba's face was gloomy and his heart sank to the bottom. He could clearly feel that the altar above his head had locked onto him. If he dared to use Yuan Qi again, the altar would definitely drop a terrifying order chain and kill him. Hee, I dared to let you out because I'm prepared. Supreme Bone smiled and said, You're not bad. I kindly gave you a chance to live, but you don't know what's good for you. In that case, go to hell. As soon as he finished speaking, Supreme Bone quickly formed a seal with both hands and began to activate the altar in midair. Whoosh! As the altar was activated, it suddenly shone brightly. Then, everyone saw a waist-thick chain rush out from the altar. Its target was Zhanba. Break through with brute force. Zhanba bent his knees slightly and punched out with both fists. What? Zhanba is going to use his physical strength to break the chains of order. Impossible. Physical strength is limited. If it was possible, Zhanba would have done it long ago. Why would he wait until now? Since you've decided to fight the chains of order, why don't you forcefully use your primordial qi? There is no other way. Zhanba can't use his primordial energy. If he uses his primordial energy, the power of the chains of order will increase. When that happens, Zhanba won't be able to survive. Pucci, as the crowd discussed, Zhanba's fist collided with the chains of order. Not good. As soon as Zhanba's fist came into contact with the chains of order, he felt as if he had touched something terrifying. He quickly retreated. You want to leave? You must die today. Supreme Bone's aura skyrocketed. In a short period of time, his aura had reached its peak. Peak 9th grade, human supreme martial artist. After this period of recuperation, Venerable Bone's injuries had completely healed, and his aura had reached the terrifying peak 9th grade, human supreme realm. It's over. Zhanba is finished. Sigh, he could have offended anyone, but he just had to offend Supreme Bone. It is said that among the 3 9th grade human supreme martial artists that Zhanba killed, one of them had a good relationship with Supreme Bone. At that time, Supreme Bone was only one step away from becoming an Earth Supreme martial artist, so he didn't bother. I have also heard of this matter. When Supreme Bone advanced to Earth Supreme martial artist, he wanted to kill Zhanba, but was stopped by the higher-ups. They said that Zhanba should be temporarily imprisoned, and this imprisonment lasted for decades. A few warriors who had been captured and sent to the Myriad Bone Cave after Zhanba's death were discussing. Your opponent is me. At this critical moment, Ning Yu quickly shot out. The red demon's sword in his hand slashed at the chains of order on Zhanba's back. Crack! The red demon's sword was of high quality. With the help of the world tree sapling, it easily cut through the chains of order. The sudden change stopped Supreme Bone from acting rashly. I didn't expect the creature in the flying sword to recover. Supreme Bone's face was gloomy. He had thought that after he recovered, he could finish off Zhanba and Ningyu. Who would have thought that the creature in the red demon sword would recover as well? Save me the clone key. At this moment, the warrior in the cage at the corner transmitted his voice to Ningyu again. Tree sapling, can you capture Supreme Bone's clone alive? Ningyu secretly communicated with the tree sapling and asked. It's not necessary to capture this clone alive. It's fine even if it's dead. The tree sapling said, You guys hold Supreme Bone off for a few minutes. I'll break the altar in the air. As soon as it finished speaking, without waiting for Ningyu to reply, the tree sapling controlled the red demon sword and charged towards the altar in midair. Damn it! Supreme Bone's expression changed greatly when he saw the red demon sword's actions. The altar was the key to trapping the warriors. Once the altar was destroyed, the chains on everyone's bodies would break. If the chains broke, these people would definitely escape. If the other honorables of the myriad bone cave knew that he had caused such a big mess, even an Earth's supreme martial artist would not be able to escape punishment. It won't be that easy to break the altar. Supreme Bone's body blended into the void in an attempt to stop the red demon sword. Your opponent is me. In order to buy time for the tree sapling, Ningyu had no choice but to stand in front of the red demon sword. Go to hell. Supreme Bone was anxious. He did not want to be entangled too much with Ningyu. Therefore, he flicked his sleeves and shot out 2 beams of cold light in an attempt to force Ningyu to retreat. As long as he could prevent the altar from being destroyed, Supreme Bone had 100 ways to kill Ningyu. Supreme Bone even wanted to seize the red demon sword and refine the living creature within. Universal Palm. Flames of 10,000 beasts. Elixir cauldron of nothingness. Holy flag of 10,000 spirits. Ningyu immediately used his killer move and displayed all the trump cards he had. Supreme Bone's attack was very powerful and could easily kill a 9th grade human supreme martial artist. Ningyu knew that with his current strength, it would be difficult for him to withstand it. However, he had to withstand it. It was his duty. In an instant, all 4 of Ningyu's killer moves were neutralized by Supreme Bone. Moreover, the remaining beam of cold light was still charging straight at Ningyu. Looking at the cold light that was constantly charging at him, Ningyu's pupils shrank slightly and he quickly retreated. There was not much Yuan Qi left in his body. Basically, there was no way he could withstand the cold light, so he had to retreat. If he did not retreat, he would definitely be killed. Combat King's Fist. At the moment of life and death, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Ningyu and blocked the fatal attack for Ningyu. Retreat quickly. After blocking the cold light, Zhanba hurriedly said, "This cold light is very powerful. I was just able to mobilize my Yuan Qi, but it will be difficult for me to hold on for too long." All right. Ningyu was not pretentious. Zhanba blocked the cold light for him, and he immediately retreated. Swoosh! Seeing that Ningyu had retreated, Zhanba used all his strength to throw out the cold light. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.